And we're live. Hello and welcome to the 49th episode of Quant Gang. And let's see. So we're coming to you for the 49th Tuesday in a row, featuring myself, Maddie ALLin, along with the master of quick maths, who's touring the US distributing smart wallets as the head of business for Staker app, Karim the Dream.
Yes, sir. Bang, bang. Thanks for being here, everybody. As always, we have 5 contents for you today. Stay tuned. It's going to be awesome. More guests potentially coming as well. And again, thanks for Alex for being here. Please introduce yourself.
And then our special guest, well, here we go. Returning for his 3rd Quant Gang, making him the most requested guest. He's almost gang affiliated now. He's a member of Knights of the Crypto Roundtable and the quantitative charting extraordinaire, Wave3TV's very own Wasabi. What's up?
Good. How are you guys doing? How's your Christmas going?
Amazing.
Awesome. There's so much game theory that's being gifted to everybody. And our special guest tonight is Alec Torelli, founder of Cryptorelli YouTube, and best known for his 61K subs on YouTube under the brand Conscious Poker. Alec, I regard you as having had the best interview of all time with the founder of Hex, Richard Hart. So welcome to Quant Gang, and I hope you can make this our best interview too.
Hey, thanks. No pressure. I really appreciate that. And thanks all to you guys and obviously all the Hexicans for the support. You guys have been very fun to interact with. Obviously, like I said, I think one of the, the most strong community in crypto, and so it's been very fun to be a part of this and the journey as well. If you guys have been following me on Twitter at Alec Torelli, you guys have definitely interacted with me quite a bit on the my Hex journey. So thanks for everything.
And to, I guess, catch people up to speed, maybe who aren't on Twitter, can you tell us a little bit about what got you into Hex and what caught your attention in the first place?
Well, I mean, so the main thing that caught my attention is just like the performance, right? So like I've just been following along closely, and obviously my first conversation was I wasn't a Hex holder at all, so I just had a conversation with a friend of mine. We talk crypto all the time, and we just had like a pretty unbiased, I think objective, sort of skeptical conversation about Hex on my channel. And this is when I first started my crypto YouTube, maybe like 3 months ago. Like you said, I've big following in poker, high stakes poker player. I've been playing poker for 18 years. So I built a big brand in the poker space, but I started a crypto YouTube. I've been in crypto for a long time, but I started crypto YouTube recently, and I had a conversation about Hex, and I tweeted it, and I used the hashtag Hex. And I I wasn't in the Hex community. I wasn't following Hex on Twitter, Discord, and like whatever. But then this like blew up. I had no followers on YouTube. Like I said, I just started, and this video got thousands of views, and like the comments I got were like more than I've gotten in poker. And like I said, I'm very well known in the poker space. So I was like kind of shocked, right? And I was like, okay, well, it caught Richard's attention. I'm like, well, we got to get Richard on the show because Harrison and I were kind of like pretty throwing some hardball skepticist questions about Hex. And then Richard agreed to come on the show. It took a couple months. He was traveling. He was in Europe. Harrison's in different time zones than me. It took a while, and we finally got Richard on the show. And like I said, we weren't Hex holders. We're like not shilling Hex at all, which I think the community kind of liked, because like so many people I think in the community have done, like, power to you guys. I'm super happy that people made life-changing money. I'm very happy for everyone in Hex that they're millionaires now. That's awesome. But like, Harrison and I aren't Hex holders, so we're not shilling our bags. We're not trying to tell people to buy Hex. We're just talking about the project, and then obviously, raising some concerns about some of the things that people have questions about or doubts about. So I think people liked that this, we were presenting this unbiased sort of objective opinion. Then we got Richard on the show. I think we had a very interesting interview because, like I said, we were pretty, we asked him some very hard questions, maybe some questions that a lot of people have, or maybe, the community of Hex is on board. They understand things well, but maybe these are questions that people that they talk to about Hex have that we asked Richard. And so, we had this very healthy debate, I think, about Hex. And that was a very fun show with Richard that did very well. And then I ended up basically crowdsourcing my investment to Hex. So I said to my community, like, you know what? I've thought about it. This is probably the project I've thought about the most outside of Bitcoin in the entire crypto space. And I'm like, you know what? The asymmetry makes a lot of sense to me. I mean, there's definitely risks. There's downside potential, but like the downside is fixed and the upside is exponentially greater than the downside. So even if it doesn't necessarily go to the moon every single time, it's going to go to the moon, I believe, often enough to justify an investment in the project. And so I was like, I have doubts, I have skepticism, that's fine, but the risk-adjusted return is good enough for me to justify it. So I said, I'm going to crowdsource my investment. And I tweeted out something where, like, depending on the number of likes comments.
Oh yeah, I remember.
I got.
Yeah, so that
I would invest a certain amount into Hex, and I said, look, I'll invest up to 25,000 into Hex, which is not a lot, but it's a decent amount of money, right? Like it got people's attention in the Hex community. So I ended up raising $21,000. I almost sold out. I kind of tried to time the dollar amount of the incentives so that it would be right around 25,000. And
That's perfect.
The tweet went viral. Of course, got like thousands of retweets, thousands of comments, thousands of likes. And so I ended up obviously buying into Hex. And I did something which is very against the ethos of Hex. And I'm like typically a crypto trader. I'm a professional poker player. I like taking risks. And so I trade in and out of cryptocurrencies typically to hold more Bitcoin. And so this obviously is controversial in the Hex community, as people are generally using Hex as their preferred store of value, and they're typically not trading. So I think they're not necessarily aligned with the game theory optimal practices of people in the Hex community. So I basically bought Hex. I timed the bottom. I have to give myself credit for that. I did get in like right at the bottom, and
Good job.
It basically almost doubled in like a week. And I'm like, okay, wow, I made a lot of money in this. I mean, not a lot of money in it.
Yeah, 75%, you said, right?
But right, a lot of percent in a short time, not necessarily absolute amount of money, but a lot of percent in a short time. So I sold at 23 cents, and it started to go down. And obviously the community gave me a lot of shit for this, which is fine, which is fair. And it went down to like 17, 18 cents. Here I am thinking I'm a genius. And then obviously it just goes fucking parabolic. Now it's at whatever, 30 cents. And so obviously the Hexicans gave me a lot of shit, educated me a lot about Hex trading. And like, I understand where they're coming from. We could talk about that I've rethought my Hex trading strategy. I've tweeted about this before, admitting some of the challenges of trading specifically with Hex, with the risk-adjusted return not making a lot of sense. So that's been my Hex journey. And obviously I'm somewhat of a polarizing figure in the Hex community probably already. So that's captivated people's attention, whether they love me or hate me.
Couple of things that I want you to know, which I think is some of it's a little bit funny. And I want to thank you personally because number one, on Kwon Gang, this is what, when Maddie said people got rich, like he's being nice. We're talking people that used to have like just hundreds of dollars into multi-million. And what's good about our show is that everything is backed by math. So it's not just like a culting thing. When we say we hold the Hex, is because we know what it can actually do in terms of returns and some of the advanced math and the game theory of how it works. And that's why hopefully today, if you have questions for those, this is what we love to dive into. That's why we come here on Tuesday, and that's why we can go hours and hours. Because once you truly understand, you will see why it's literally a no-brainer to do it. It's not so much cultish. It's just because if you want the highest gains, and we always say this all the time, we're here for the mad gains. We're doing the thing because we fully internalize how the system works. And the second thing is, when you did that dump, I want to thank you because I was personally able to scoop for $15,000, waiting for this money to come, and the price started to run. And I literally already charted. I said, guys, it's going to do the 3.69x just like we had it last year, because we've seen that movie before. The fractal was there, and my money didn't come fast enough because I bought some at the bottom too, because I, again, always buy. True accumulation never ends. But I was waiting for this money, and then I saw the candle. I'm like, what's that? Then I went on Twitter, and I saw it was you. I was like, thank you, Alec. So I got 15 grand market buy thanks to you. So I wanted to say thank you.
Sure,
and then
that helps.
What do you have to say, Web3?
No, it's I guess even back to the performance side, I looked back at the bull market for Bitcoin during the entirety of 2017, and the last big move on Hex had higher returns than the entire bull market in 2017. So Bitcoin 91x from start to finish 2017. Hex well exceeded that amount by at least 1.5x or more, depending on how much you staked and how much ROI you got additional from the big payday bonus. So yes. The results are in the charts. The moves have been substantially bigger and much sooner with respect to where it is in its timeline. So, I think just looking back at you over time, you have a lot of data points to work off of, and the results are amazing. I guess I don't quite understand like any stigma maybe that exists on crypto Twitter. I mean, if you just look across all the communities on crypto Twitter, the fact is Hex has by far like the most engagement in the space, aside from perhaps Bitcoin and Ethereum. It's very clearly starting to, from my view, from like an engagement standpoint, it's much more active. There's far more streams. It's just a much more decentralized community in general. There's there's events going on. You know, Maddie's streaming right now. There's a lot of stuff going on, and then the ROI metrics, the move from 30% of a penny up to about 50 cents, that was a bigger return than the entire bull market for Bitcoin in 2017. So that it was incredible. So we see it here. The results are they're in the charts. So you know, I at this point, it's really just a question of time when it hits the next band on the ROI multiple. So it's looking very, very good in terms of the macros.
Yeah, and if you look at the history, right? Because another thing we like to say all the time, quick math. Some people don't get that. When something dips 75, 80% or whatever, like we talked about all the time, when you do the return move from that bottom, it's an easy on average, again, 3.7x. We have literally charted this over and over and over again. This is where the wisdom comes in when Richard posts all those posts and when we talk about all the time. So knowing what's the past, and you know it's just starting from there, let's say, you know, where you saw was about like 150%, 160-some%. Obviously, it's not your fault because you didn't know about that previous history, because if you did, you knew this is just getting started. And on top of, you know, sacrifice and all this other stuff, end of the year, whatever. But even that aside, because that's just cherry on top, that's just what Hex does. And this time around, there's even less liquidity in terms of Hex, because a lot of it gets sacrificed, a lot of it is being removed, and those OA coins just sitting around allow the price appreciation to go much faster because the locking mechanism is really kicking in. Then you got the heavy onboarding. We're hitting that 2+ year mark when Richard said it best. This is when every major coin, that's really when the virality start to kick in after 2+ years. And you're seeing all the metrics pointing in that direction. He's about to cross 100,000 subscribers on YouTube, already passed that on Twitter. This major interview today with Mid Kevin, which is already insane. It's like across all platforms, it's like 40,000 views already in like less than an hour. I mean, who knows what it's going to be by tomorrow. So this is where the thing it started to kick in. So when you factor all that in and knowing what Hex does, and we have those charts and we have, you know, Hex.vision tracking also that, and obviously Wells chart, this is when we tell people that, listen, now is not the time for you to play games. And then you add on top of that the staking, which is not even in the chart, which is not even fair because it's insane because we're getting paid every day. When you add all of that, and I want to talk to you more about that today, because I pioneer a lot of a mechanism which I think are so good that you just never lose. I don't know if you watch any of my videos or one that I did with Maddie, interview with the Super Shark, that just kind of break down a math that shows people that you get the maximum return with the lowest amount of risk, especially on a longer time frame, because X is just that good. So people get that peace of mind, so they don't FUD themselves out of their own bag.
And I know that we'll be weaving 3 different topics here today when it comes to Hex and then also to Pulse and PulseX. I wanted to, you know, make this comment here. So for Cryptorelli, you released an interview with your father today about mobile home park investing. It was outstanding.
Thank you.
I can tell you to, I can tell you to vibe like I do with my dad. Shout out to my dad. The last time he was on my channel, Karim and he were driving a tank in Vegas on top of, well, we were crushing a car that said high fees. So
we've been, don't forget the gatekeeping. We had to let them know. We ain't gonna
I love it. Yeah, I did I mean, my typical focus is crypto, obviously, like crypto and Bitcoin, NFTs, DeFi, like those spaces. Mainly play to earn games is my main focus for 2022. It's where I want to spend most of my time investing. But some things are outside of crypto, right? Like I think having 100% of your net worth in crypto is a lot. So I believe in diversification. And so real estate's one of those places. I put out a post, my top 3 investments for 2022. Crypto is obviously number 1. Another one was startups, and another one was mobile home parks. And I like that the 3 assets are not correlated. My dad's an expert in real estate. Same with my mom. I grew up, they've been in the real estate for 35 years, and my dad transitioned into mobile home parks. And there's a lot of very unique, and people are listening like, what are mobile home parks? They're not sexy at all, but there's a lot of unique elements to them that make them, I think, a really good diversified bet. So taking money off the crypto table, you got to put it somewhere. Of course, people in crypto know you're never going to leave it in fiat. That's the cash is trash. So these are the good cash flowing assets that are very stable, diversified from crypto, not correlated at all, and provide a lot of tax shelter and cash flow income. So that's a fun video if you want to check it out on my YouTube too. Thanks for that. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting. There was a moment where you were comparing the turnover, basically, or the amount of time somebody spends in their property, whether it's rented or owned, and the difference was something like 18 months in rented apartments and 8 years in owned mobile homes. Is that right?
Yeah, and also because the cost of moving is high, and people are like very committed to their homes because they're typically owners, and so they move very infrequently. So you have very few vacancies, and it just makes the numbers be better for the owner, which is you, right? If you're going to buy a mobile home park. So yeah, there's a lot in the interview. There's 5 things that make them very unique. So that's one of them. Thanks for that. And then, you can check out the other ones. I'm going to put out more content on this as well. Like bite-sized videos, because that interview's 27 minutes or something, 25 minutes. And there's going to be like 3-minute videos that release over the next couple weeks on the channel that are like broken out videos of that video to give people a little digested piece of content on that too. So stay tuned for that.
I think like this idea of how long something is held it's a metric that, even Coinbase like promotes as something that, helps people to understand the trends of whether people are buying and holding on to something, right? And in crypto, there's this meme or this saying of like hodl, right? And so
yeah,
whether people are an investor or a speculator or a degen, right? Like they're all holding on for dear life, right? Because of the high volatility that we see in crypto. And that's a feature, not a bug, to people who are, being more patient than others and who are playing their cards right. And so, if we look at Bitcoin's average hold time, Coinbase is quoting that as 77 days, whereas for Ethereum, it's 69 days, Solana, 32. And so when we look at Hex being something that's held, at least by the stakers, we can Hex is very transparent in the sense that we can see what percentage of people are just holding liquid and what percentage of people are staking. And then when we see that there's that 1/3 of the staker class, and Karim is kind of an expert on this, but the staker class on average is holding for almost 6 years, 5.9 years on average.
That's insane. That is really insane. That's like one of the biggest accomplishments of Hex, is like they have a community of people that are willing to, lower their time preference for 6 years to hold something and delay gratification for that long. That's pretty much unparalleled in anything I've seen. Like I've never seen a asset or a place where like people are locking something up, right? Like even if you own, real estate, right? Like, that could become liquid in a month, 3 months, 3 weeks, depending on where you live. Absolutely. But to lock that in for 6 years is definitely a pretty impressive feat of Hex. What percentage of people are staked in Hex? I know that the average is about 6 years of the stakers, but like what percentage of the liquidity of Hex is locked in staking?
There is about 9.6% of total coin circulation that are locked. So right. You can looking at that's what produced the APY. But if you were just to look in terms of the staker class minus the OA addresses, let's
take out the OA address because that doesn't
85%.
Count. Okay, that makes sense.
Is the community 85 plus. And let me tell you something even more magical, which is crazy because that's the global stat. If you just look at Staker app, which I'm the head of business operation at, and I pioneer the idea of the dream account and T-shirt preservation. Just from that metrics, what we're seeing, get this, average staking length on the Staker app is 10.5 years.
Wow.
We ain't playing no games. We ain't going nowhere. We got a smart wallet. We're ready to go. We're locked and loaded because we understand the system, because repetition is the mother of all skill. Quant game users, viewers know what's up because, we've been doing this week over week. And because they get it and they see the account getting paid every day, number goes up. That's why we're holding the thing, because the incentive is there. We're not crazy. We're here for the mad gains.
So most of your clientele just ladder stake, and they take, they divide their portfolio by 15 and they stake that unit over 15 years. That's like the typical. That's what you're seeing a lot of.
Okay, this is a great segment. I think I can break that down for you. So I pioneer something called the Dream Account, which is really what boosts all that. So because when you maximize the system, really understanding how it works, especially with the bonus T-shares, you get into something that gives you what's called T-share preservation. Are you familiar with the share rate only going up in hex term?
Yes, I understand that. Yeah.
Perfect. So what happens is that every year you get that 20% bonus, right? But then it tops at 10 years. Then the obvious question the new person asks is, why do I need to hold for 15 if at 10 I'd stop getting the bonus? And this is where lies the catch. This is why I name it T-share preservation for the person to understand, because every time your stake is done and it's burned, right? Those T-shares are burned. When you re-enter the system, you re-enter at whatever the new share rate is. And if you know what share rate is supposed to do and mimic compounding, and you watch the compounding interest chart over 15 years, we have already shown mathematically that the interest that you accrue just the last 5 years will dwarf the first 10 years plus more.
Right.
So mathematically, it is in your best incentive to hold
because
that
you
longer.
lock in today's T-share rate for 15 years instead of locking it in. If you only stake for 10 years and then you stake for five more years or 10 more years, you're paying twice as, let's say, twice as high of a T-share rate or whatever the math is.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, that makes total sense.
Exactly. So even if you restrict everything plus interest, you will never be able to catch up. And it's designed on purpose. This is what Richard says that's Nobel Prize worthy. This is what creates everything else like that. Because everything else, the locking, the this, the that, it doesn't really matter. It's the fact that share rate is there to back up the whole system. Every time your stake ends, the system is saying, what is it going to be, bro? Are you coming back in or are you exit? If you exit, that's cool, but you're losing your position and you'll never be able to come back, because the share rate is going to ensure of that. That's the ultimate mechanism that make us want to stake 15 years, because we're not crazy. Now you go a step further. This is what I pioneer. I show a methodology with levels, how you can do it safely without worrying about having liquidity. So basically what you do is you take 30% of the stack and then you stake it for 15 years. The reason why I'm doing percentages is because it doesn't matter if you got $100, $1,000, 10K, 100K. I came with multiple six figures, so it doesn't matter where you are. It's a percentage game. You take 30%, you park it for 15 years. That does three things for you, which is mathematically like perfection. Number one, you're getting T-share preservation for the next 15 years with daily payout every day. Nothing beats compounding, right? The 8 wonders of the world. Number two, what that does is you're getting that 3x bonus from the share perspective. So in other words, it's going to act as if you stake 90% of the stack, although you only did 30%, because the 3x bonus is helping you in T-share, because the T-shares are the money printers. Make sense?
Yeah.
Because if two people start with the same money, one stake very short, less than a year, the other guy go for 15, he's going to get 3x. So although he only staked 30%, it's going to act as if he staked 90%. Because I also look at the global stat, average Hexicans, we're about 90 to 95% stake, 5% liquid. You know what I mean? Because that 5% also, when the price goes up, can turn into a lot more. And we don't like dormant capital. Again, you're a real estate guy. You understand that. That's the common sense. And then number three, what that does, which is key, you get that copy on the PulseChain. Those stakes are going to copy. Those T-shares are going to copy. People don't understand. When we go PulseChain, you're no longer earning at 40, 45%. I got stakes that do 60% because I'm right there on the 15 years. That doubles too. Now you get on 2Chain running at 40 to 60% APY. It's insane. Traders, you can never win. You can never win.
But what do you think? I mean, we maybe could use this to transition to PulseChain. I mean, it's almost like, I understand you get a free copy of an asset onto another chain, but it seems a little bit ambitious to assume that that asset is going to be valued one-to-one on a separate chain, right? Like presumably this asset is going to trade below the asset value of that native on ETH. So it's going to be some fraction of a percent. Maybe it's 5%, maybe it's 10%. I mean, we can debate kind of what that is, but surely it's not going to be one-to-one, right?
Okay, that's a fantastic
Well, that's
question.
the difference, right, in the game theory between just simply copying code and pasting it versus actually doing a vampire attack and actually having a fixer bot that goes through and like it replaces the liquidity of the copies with Pulse liquidity. And so Wave3 and Karim and I will be able to speak to that, you know, as long as everybody understands, you know, that's a super important technical part, because Hart's law says that two things trade together. So the entire Bitcoin and Ethereum market trades together. So if Bitcoin goes up 10%, alts go up 10%. And if Bitcoin goes down 10%, alts go down 10%.
Their liquidity, right?
Because they have bonded liquidity, because unlike in the investment bank world, which powers the stock market, rigs the stock market, this is real liquidity on these decentralized contracts like Uniswap. people have put up on V2, and that's why PulseSwap is it's a V2 copy, not just for copyright purposes, but because it's actually better to have people add on both sides of the pair. And so most things trade with BTC and ETH, but Hex actually trades with USDC, which is going to make it bear market proof. It's going to make it resistant to the bear market. But to just understand that when every coin, every ERC20 coin gets copied over onto the Pulse network, that there will be a day or two where there's no trading allowed, because the value of everything that's airdropped has to be 0 for tax purposes. And then the next step is, we just found out today or yesterday that you're going to be able to swap Pulse for PulseX at the same time, like early, a day or two before the rest of the trading happens, which gives people a chance now to get in kind of on Pulse a little bit early.
Right.
Yeah, that's going to be the next topic.
It's kind of like like PulseX is kind of like a whitelist for Pulse, because you're probably going to be able to buy it before the bridge happens between ETH and the rest of the capital flows in. That makes sense.
And at a better multiple too, because chances are this is going to moon, and then you're going to park it over there. It's going to be like a virtual sacrifice. You're going to pump PulseX if you're smart, you push it up, especially if you're late. And then from there, you take it, you buy the Pulse, so you get a higher valuation before the bot comes in. But I want to go back first, and I want to answer, and I want to let Wave3 answer too, but the question that you asked, because that's a fantastic question. So I'm going to give you two answers. One is a mathematical fact, and then the other one is my humble speculation based on what I see in the logic, right? So the mathematical fact about your question is that they will be very close to price. Why? Because if not, our bot will make it so. Period. Full stop. End of story. Right now, if you go on TradingView, there's technically two hex chart. There is one that's like pair from some exchange, and there's one that's pair from Uniswap. They're slightly different, but they're about the same. There's a hex USDC and there's a hex USD. So imagine something like that, because that's what our bots do. They will make the thing ratio to be similar. That's why people like to use 1inch.io or matcha.xyz for big amounts, spread the liquidity, because if they don't, the bot will make it. So you either do it or you're going to lose money, and then somebody's going to do it. Now, in the very early days, that's why it's good to be a dev. In the very early days, those who access the chain faster. We saw that game when Hex was listed on Polygon. There was a little mismatch, but then lo and behold, hours later, the bot came and took care of the shenanigans. So those who didn't, they went there and then they got wrecked. So that's why we told people, don't get wrecked. Build your ladder now. Don't worry about it. Don't be the trader, or you will get wrecked. You will become the liquidity when the bot comes in and do its thing. So that's just the mathematical fact, because nobody's going to pass up that opportunity. No bot's going to do that. We're already dealing with bots right now. Now, answer number two, my leading speculation is this. PulseChain Hex, which I just want to call it Hex, is going to be the leading indicator. It's going to be kind of like, imagine like a marathon sprinter. There's always those guys that's like the headhunters that just like keep the pace, right? Because guess what? Onboarding is going to be there. Who the fuck's going to pay $100 to swap when you can do stuff for a penny? Make no mistake. Stake app, we're probably going to just turn on wallet for free, because it's just going to be so cheap. It's stupid. It costs us $100 to do a smart wallet right now. It's going to cost a fraction of a penny on the PulseChain. It's going to be a joke. People are going to activate faster for 3 second block. I mean, it's just going to be much faster. So guess what? Price goes up there first, because the $100 buy, you do that, you get 99% of your value, even after you stake it. Then either other smart people are going to pump the other side, or the bots is going to come in, dump the price on the Hex, on the Pulse, just to provide liquidity, and then go buy back on the other hand, because it's just arbitration. So one is going to drag it, the other one is going to follow. And then because Pulse, the token, is also going to run, because it is deflationary, and if the ratio stays the same between Pulse and Hex, then also the Hex on Pulse is going to fly like crazy. The same way our Hex went up so much, because we used to buy Ethereum for $80, and Ethereum went all the way to 4,000. And we still maintain, what is it, Wave3, correct me if I'm wrong, how many X's are we in ETH term? Is it like some stupid like 40?
Oh, it's more than that. It's even more than that. Yeah, it's incredible.
So whatever, so whatever Ethereum did in X's, you take that and then you exit by the X number. So that's why, because it moves out the function of a square. So when you combine those two things, again, the mathematical answer, and then my logical guess based on what's most likely to happen due to easy onboarding, At any given time, maybe you get a 5-10% premium due to onboarding, but quickly fix after with the bot. So I made the joke on a pro chat earlier today. Who cares if my PX is $2 and then my EX is $1.75 or $1.80? Who cares? It came from 30 cents. Who are we kidding? Who are we kidding? Money printers. You're printing at 40 to 50% on 2 chains. No trader can beat you. And I end with this, and this is why I use the emoji of the dream account, the original one. The T-share never changed, but in the very beginning, it started at $30 a day. Today, it does multiple 5 figures a day, doing nothing. All I did was I delayed gratification, and I wasn't even a day one guy. That's how crazy it is. But I was trying to be wise.
Your guy's basic argument is that you think Hex on Pulse, specifically Hex on Pulse, maybe not other ERC20s on Pulse, but Hex on Pulse is going to at least keep pace with Hex on ETH. And so you're essentially doubling your net worth of Hex.
Yes.
Through the Pulse chain launch.
Yes. You know how you see like a token launch? It's like
that would
0,
be
and then you see the big
optimal bull case scenario, right? That's best case scenario. I mean, I'm certainly possible, but there's other possibilities.
No, that's not best case scenario. That's just standard. We used to be 50, 60 cents. A doubling right now, we're just going back to where we were. That's nothing. That's just understand something. We went 10,000x with heavy friction. I know because I was the #1 onboarder. I know the pain. I talk to those people every day. Okay.
So are you going to onboard people to PHEX or EHEX?
Or PX, because the people with $200-300 that say Karim, I want.
It's the people's opportunity, right? I mean, like
exactly.
You can afford to, in my opinion, like, and I talked about this in my tweet where I was acknowledging that trading poses some risk-adjusted return challenges, especially when it comes to Hex, because like for every, I mean, if let's say you trade a principal of 10,000, right? You pay a 1% fee because you pay $100 in and out each way. That's 2% you pay in gas. So that's 2% better you have to be than simply holding, right? But then with the case of Hex, I also made the argument, to be fair to the community that was raising awareness about this to me, and thank you for that, is that like you have to also beat the interest that you would be earning by staking. So if you earn, let's say you earn 20% a year, you earn whatever 2-3% a month. That's another couple percent. So now you have to beat 5% VIG you're paying on every single trade, right? VIG, in sports betting, you call it a VIG when you have a tax on the trade. Yep. So that's basically what you have to beat. So if someone is coming in with $500 of capital and they want to invest, they can't pay 20%, which would be a 20% cost to more than that. It would be 20% to swap from whatever to Hex, and then another 20% to stake that Hex into the smart contract. You can't pay 20% or 10% or even 5% of your capital is a huge usurious fee. So, you don't really have an economic choice except to onboard people onto Pulse Hex, onto PulseChain, unless they have at least, I would say 10,000 in capital where they're only paying, 2% in fees. Fine, 2%, maybe they can go into ETH, but any more than that, it becomes kind of punitive and it doesn't really make sense economically.
And I mean, all the inflation on both sides is being paid to the most long-term holders. And so the game theory stays intact. I mean, personally, I don't know what EHEX is going to do. I know that Richard has said he doesn't want to see cheap Hex anywhere. I know that the origin address has a history of buying up Hex, but I also know that, Richard has also said that he prefers PHEX. And so I really think anything could happen. I mean, in a vampire attack, what I care about is that, that there's hundreds of thousands of users who are experiencing a working version of Ethereum beating Ethereum 2.0 to market. And all of a sudden there's going to be this, this 0 to 1 moment where people trust Hex because they have such a good experience on Pulse. I think we're going to win a lot of hearts and minds because everybody's code is going to work for once.
Yeah, but isn't that, I mean, like and correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like your fundamental argument is that there's going to be this new onboarding of users that aren't in the Hex community that are suddenly in the Pulse community. Whereas I see it more like Pulse, like the main users of Pulse are going to be the Hexicans, right? Like those are the people that are most likely to use the Pulse. I
don't think so.
So your argument is that we're going to onboard non-Hexicans to PulseChain first, and then through their superior experience of PulseChain, they're going to then go down the rabbit hole and be like, why did PulseChain happen? Okay, it's Richard Hart. Who's Richard Hart? He founded Hex. let me buy some Hex as well. They're going to go down that rabbit hole. Your argument is we're going to onboard people to Pulse.
Yeah, they're getting a copy for free of whatever they hold on Ethereum, and now they can use it without paying high fees.
This is contingent on that money, that asset, that crypto having some value outside of Hex, right? Because these are non-Hexagons.
Which it will, because the copy of the liquidity is going to be like 99% of the liquidity that's copied over is getting automatically swapped for Pulse before people can touch it. So if you own $1 million worth of Link on the Ethereum side, then you get a copy, but you don't get $1 million worth of P-Link. You get like essentially $1 million worth of Pulse. And then that creates the liquidity pool. And then you're earning the token, the yield token, or it hasn't been named yet. It's just the incentive token. So right. So that's, I think that the game theory is solid there, but people aren't really expecting it because they're being marketed all these really cool stories all the time about what different cryptos can do. And, in the background, there's real game theory being created. That's what created Bitcoin, was real game theory.
But also there's a couple of things here. We need to backtrack here for a second so people to really, really understand. Yes, to some extent, you can say in the original story, PulseChain was designed for us, quote unquote, Hexagons, so we can use it, whatever. But like Maddie said, there's many more people that's going to be able to come. But beyond all of that, the most biggest elephant in the room, people keep forgetting. Okay. Those are my people. I talk to them every day. We have the best type of users because we're actually what's called recurring customers. Let me say it again. Recurring customers. I do business, and that is the recurring customers are better than 100 times a regular user because we keep coming back. A lot of those recurring customers, including myself, sometimes have to wait a couple weeks, a month to buy because of the fee, and we still manage to do 10,000x. What do you think is going to happen when it's going to be fraction of penny? I get $100, I make a purchase. I don't wait to get to $2,000 or $3,000 or stake long or whatever. It's in. I'm getting the fucking Hex right away. I'm not waiting. There is hundreds of thousands of potential people with $100 or less that when they come in, it's going to be like a whale. That's number one. Number two, liquidity in Hex is getting smaller and smaller and smaller. Wells showed it best on the last stream. We have 35%. Let me say it again, 35% less liquidity in Hex term than we had before, thanks to all the sacrifice and whatever. And that's factoring all the inflation and all sorts of stuff. Because again, it is delayed inflation. 3.69, that's cute. We only really what came out is probably like 1.5 or 1.2. Because most of it is where us, the long-term holder, we go on PulseChain. What do you think is gonna happen? Guys, it's a fork, it's a copy. The same locked token are gonna stay locked. It's not gonna be miraculously like more token out of existence. It's just whatever that was there. You can't push the price down if you don't have any Hex, let alone if you didn't get any fucking Hex before the fork, which means just like a stock split, just like Tesla, the long-term big holder, we stay where we are now. We launched, that thing can literally just be at 30 cents because the same guy that owns a lot that doesn't need to sell, when he gets a copy, he still doesn't need to fucking sell.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, a lot of people but this is specific to Hex, right? So a lot of the people that are getting copies of Hex, I believe these ardent, passionate Hexicans, like, look, if you go from a net worth of, I know a guy in Hex that maybe went from, put in 25,000, maybe it's 25 million, something ridiculous, right? Like if someone, a project made you that rich, like, I mean, it's hard to be objective. You're going to be like, well, why would I sell the golden goose? You're probably not going to sell. That's fine for the Hexagons. But if you're like a whale, right? And someone gives you $1 million in Link and you have Link on Pulse and you see that this basic like copy, like for you, it's almost like someone printed you money or tokens and they gave you that option. Are you going to hold this project or are you going to just do?
Oh, you
just got muted.
You got, Uh-oh.
Okay. Hey, sorry. Am I there?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm with you on the Hexagons, right? Like the Hexagons love Richard. They're going to follow him. They made millions of dollars.
Because it makes sense. It's not just Richard.
But they're also down the rabbit hole, right? So they also understand Pulse. They understand Richard. They've built up trust. They've made millions of dollars. Like it's easier to trust the project when you've made millions of dollars. That's fine. But like, let's say you're a whale, right? And you see this tweet and you're like, hey, you have $1 million in a wallet on ETH and someone just gave you $1 million on this random chain that maybe you don't like Hex, maybe you don't like Richard, maybe you don't like this new network. Maybe you're like, hey,
I have the chance to bet on this new chain, or I could take my $1 million of liquidity, bridge it back to ETH, and now I have 2 million real dollars. However you want to look at it as a non-hex believer. Like, don't you think that these people are going to move their money back to ETH and just swap?
No, you're absolutely right. Like I said, I can't speak for those. Yeah, I can't speak for the other tokens. I think you're absolutely correct for that. The thing is this. All I know is this. In logic term, money always flow from where it's the worst treated to where it's the best treated. I wouldn't even be surprised if some of them sell some of those shitcoin, harness the money, and then just go park that in Hex, Pulse, or PulseX. Because we have seen it in Hex. This is why we're the ultimate bear market protector. Because where do you think all this pumpamental money came from? Like, people think like to go 10,000x, a lot of money has to come in. Even the haters, they have Hex. One of my favorite tweets is the guy that tweets about all the top 400 addresses in Ethereum that owns a bunch of Hex. The OGs are in. They can hate us publicly, but you can't lie on the blockchain. Yeah, so what is absolutely correct. And they might go buy Hex. Why? Because it's going to be better, more onboarding. Some of them, it's their first interaction. And the price is going to pump. Who's gonna be mad when the price pumps? That's why sacrifice is the easiest shit ever. Because people buy Hex, price goes up, and then they sacrifice it, which means the price is not being dumped down. You use that as an elevator to increase your value of your sacrifice. It's a no-brainer because it's well designed. Because there's
I want to give Wave3 a chance to weigh in on the liquidity and the other discussions, and also shout out to the 250 people watching live, thousands of people watching on the replay. Hit the like and subscribe button or get out.
And yeah, and just to rewind back to the starting price between eHex and Hex, and Hex is referring to what's on PulseChain, just to be very clear on that. So Richard did mention in one of his streams that he didn't see why initially the prices are, let's just assume they're at parity at the initial, whenever the system state gets rolled over, PulseChain launches, let's just say that everything starts at parity. So the market itself, they are going to speculate between eHex and Hex, but when you compare, let's say, the PRC20s for other coins, there's a much stronger bond specifically with hexagons as it relates to Hex on PulseChain. So that's why there's a lot of I think really well-in-tune speculation right now that could become the dominant side, but the two sides could still remain expensive, let's say, over the course of time. It's just one side may hold a higher value.
Right, that's fair.
So the community support is very strong in the Hex community by PulseChain. We've seen in the market. That. Yeah. So it's like over time, like social consensus tends to dominate everything in this market. Like if you look at, for example, Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash, the consensus was Bitcoin. Bitcoin Cash did not have a strong social consensus to that of Bitcoin, and then Bitcoin won that war, and then basically that airdrop, which it was at the time for Bitcoin Cash, that got dumped into Bitcoin, and people got more Bitcoin. But in this case, because the consensus is so strong on PulseChain, whoever picks like incorrectly, like there's sort of that initial, let's just say they're at parity to start. There are going to be speculators that try to trade the relative ratios, but it's one of those things, like if you already have an opportunity to just get the snapshot, so you don't have to do that. To me, it's a no-brainer to have coins prior to the snapshot, and then all the other. You basically get covered. You're covered for all circumstances. Great. And then all the PRC20s from all these other coins, I personally think there's more, as Karim suggesting, more of an incentive for them to perhaps speculate on those and then rolling that into something like Hex or Pulse. Because what is there? Like, there's nothing on Ethereum other than ETH. Like, there's nothing on Ethereum. Like, everything from DeFi 1.0 is dead. Synthetics dead, Uniswap dead, Yearn Finance dead, shit price performance. There's literally nothing to go back to. Like the only asset on Ethereum, there's two assets. It's Hex and Ethereum. Those are the only two that have outpaced the entire market. So it's, the market wants gains. They're going to be hungry. If they're not getting those gains in DeFi Gen 1 coins, they're not going to. There's going to be more speculation around. PulseChain. In my opinion, this is
Yeah,
my speculation on it.
I like what you're saying. I think. I mean, it's a little extreme to say there's no value on ETH aside from Hex, but I will say that all of these other DeFi protocols have underperformed ETH. All these blue chip DeFis that everyone was talking about in like summer of like DeFi summer. I lived around. I've been in crypto a long time. So I've lived around for that.
Yeah,
that was all a joke. It was all a scam. YFI has plummeted. It's been like peaked for years. It's all a joke. I agree with that. I will say that Hex is the one that stands to gain the most alpha because, like, look, if you get a copy of Link and all these other random coins on Pulse, you have really two choices. You can either, like, you're probably not going to keep your Link on that network because you're participating in a community, like you said, of consensus of all these people that have converged on one medium as their preferred store of value, which is Hex. Now, right or wrong, that's the consensus, right? So all these people are going to be utilizing Hex on this network because, look, they don't mind that, you know, they trust a benevolent whale to control the master keys of that network. That's what it comes down to. ETH people value decentralization. The Hex people, we're going to trust Richard to act accordingly to his own best interest, which is the best interest of the Pulse chain and the network. They're going to stake their value in Hex on Pulse. Now, if you're a guy that's got airdropped $1 million in Link, sure, you can bridge that back to ETH and just say, fuck it, I'm out. But you can also just converge with everyone else and buy the dominant asset of that network, which is clearly going to be Hex, right? Like, Hex is going to benefit the most from Pulse chain. And so to me, it's like,
but that's what money does, though.
Hex can trade at parity where everything else could trade under parity because of the consensus of the believers behind Hex on Pulse.
I hope they dump it. I hope that every whale on Ethereum comes in and they dump all their ERC20 or their PRC20 coins, and Hexicans will buy them up because they're the only ones who believe in Richard, who believe in Pulse. And then now we have the only working code in crypto that actually runs on a decentralized computer. Now we own all of that. That'd be cool.
It's possible. I definitely think Hex stands to benefit a lot because if you like have all this free money, that a lot of people are going to look at it like free money, right? Like, let's say it's worth 10% of what it's worth on ETH, 50%, 100% is Karim is saying, fine. Like, some of that money goes into Hex, right? Like, why not? You're like, look, this guy built a network.
Have you gotten any big airdrops in crypto before?
Yeah, I swapped it all. I got rid of all of it because I don't believe, like, I don't want to store my value in SOS token or ENS token. That's not a store of value. That's
ENS was
right
good.
there. That's the.
I got a lot of airdrops. I claimed them all and swapped it for ETH or Bitcoin. Fine, great.
But that's my point.
Imagine but a lot of this is going to happen. They're going to swap it for Hex on Pulse. That's what they're going to. You know, I think that's going to happen.
Maybe, yeah, maybe.
I don't know. Imagine that
Hex gets a bid. Like, Hex does well in this game theory economy where, like, that's the best asset to own on the new network. So people are going to put their money there. That's just what game theory tells people to do. I think it's going to be interesting. I think PulseX makes a lot of sense too, and Hex is going to get a bid from PulseX because it's the dominant currency to sacrifice for Pulse, and so that's creating a bid on Hex. And because
it's deflationary,
yeah, right. But because, like Wave3 said, like, people converge on one idea. Like, once there's consensus that everyone sacrifices Hex for PulseX, then random people buy Hex knowing that other people are going to buy Hex, and this creates like a bid on Hex, which is probably why my selling Hex was very stupid. I wasn't really so where
do you stand on that? What's your sentiment?
Well, obviously
now?
you can't really deny, like, the math, like the price. I mean, it went down, to be fair. It did go to 18 cents. I was hoping it would go back down to 15 or 16. I didn't get back in, and I ended up buying it higher. So that was my mistake. I didn't lose a lot, but I mean, fine. But obviously, it's probably stupid to try and get cute on a trade when you have this huge PulseX sacrifice coming. You know, a lot of the community is going to be buying up Hex to sacrifice for Pulse. I should have been trying to get cute and sell Hex in the middle of that to try and, like, buy back lower. I think I got a little cute, and
have you tried staking before?
Yeah, I've staked Hex as well.
Awesome.
So I was unsure about, like, what was going to happen into this Pulse launch. So I can see there being, like, a huge bid up for Hex into Pulse, and there this being this, like, big parabolic run up into Hex, and then the price maybe dumping after the Pulse launch, at which point it would be potentially better to sell Hex and rebuy. I've gotten punished on trading before, so I've rethought my trading strategy. But right now, I rebought the hex that I sold, and at a slight premium to what I sold it at, which is fine. And I'm just kind of like waiting, I'm just like, I have liquid hex, and I'm waiting to see what happens with Pulse. I'm probably going to sacrifice for Pulse just because it feels like a profitable play. I'm not sure I'm going to hold my wealth in Pulse for a year or two, but I could see the price appreciating in the next couple months, which for me is like a good net positive. I don't think I'm going to lose being one of the first entrants to sacrifice for Pulse, which I guess is like the risk-adjusted return makes sense. There's a lot of asymmetry. Like I think I could pretty much, it's only going to go up from where I lock it in. So that's a good place to buy in. I like the deflationary nature of it. I like the buying pressure. I think if you look at the potential liquidity that's being traded on Pulse and you see like 0.21% of 1% is being used to buy back. If there's $1 billion traded, that's $600,000 of buy pressure on Pulse a day. That's going to be very healthy for the price. The question
that hasn't been done without admin keys before. That's a new innovation.
Yeah, and like, will we get $1 billion of liquidity a day on PulseX? That remains to be seen. But certainly, if we do, that's going to be very bullish for the price of PulseX, at least in the short term. Obviously, a lot of people are speculating on PulseX because they have a lot of hex. They've gotten very rich. They got into PulseChain, or maybe they missed PulseChain. All these are going to be positive for price, at least in my opinion. So that's helpful to decide to sacrifice. It's also kind of like novel, I guess. It's kind of fun to be part of these whole things in the community and like, fuck it, if we go down, we're all going down with the ship. Go to the moon, at least I'm on the train. So whatever, I'll hop in.
You see, but
I've done well in hex so far. Like I got in at like 15 cents. So like I'm doing very well in hex. I have extra hex. Thrown into Pulse. Why not?
Good. To me, that's very simple, right? And you made a lot of valuable point here. If you know all these things, then the wisdom should kick in and be like, why try to trade and gamble when you know what's most likely to happen playing this game of this or that, when you know, like Wave3 said it best, that headache has been removed from you because you're lucky. And everybody else right now watching this is fucking lucky that you get to get this before the fork, because you literally will get fucking both. Now is the time for you to set your fucking ladder. Now is the time for you to, hey, that copy, that t-shirt that I can preserve, how long do I want to preserve that? Because a year, 2, 3 years from now, when some of us accounts are going to start doing 6 figures a day, some people are going to be crying, oh, I wish I did this, I wish I did that. When it's like, no, listen now, learn. That shit is scarce. Share rate is not waiting for nobody. And don't think on PulseChain is going to go any slower. So this is what brings everything back together. It's all about the share rate. This is the reason why EX is not going to go down over time, because it's still going to produce that yield no matter what. Eventually, may take a while. Eventually, Ethereum will be helped thanks to PulseChain. So their fee is going to go down, and eventually they might get their shit together. So the point of the matter is that value is always going to be there. And if there's a heavy premium, whether because of the price or arbitration bot is going to kick in. If there's a heavy premium because the share rate on one side went up so high because everybody's staking over there and the APY is low, fucking EX is going to be the next place to go to, because somebody's going to be like, hey, I'm getting 40% over there when over here I'm only getting 20%, because the bond math did something where the price shoot up higher, but everybody is there staking when over here I get more. Stop being, that's curse again. Stop thinking like a trader. That's why you get wrecked. And that's what Hex is good at doing, wrecking traders. They become our liquidity. And we're genuinely saying that because we care for you, because we're going to get paid.
I felt that within the community that people were, people gave me a lot of shit, obviously. But people were genuinely trying to do what they thought was in my best financial interest. And I definitely appreciate that. I also don't mind being wrong. Like, look, play poker for a living. I've played 3-4 million hands of poker. I've lost a lot of hands. I've made a lot of mistakes. I've done it all on television. So it's like, I'm used to being wrong in public. That's fine.
You weren't wrong about Hex, were you?
Yeah.
Sorry?
You made money off Hex, so you weren't wrong about it, right?
Yeah, I didn't make the most amount, so I could. It's kind of like,
but nobody makes the most amount on anything.
Yeah. I guess I'm hard on myself. It's kind of like you play a hand of poker and you win 10,000, but you could have won 15, and you
won. Take the win. Take the win.
Happy for the 10.
The best way to avoid those is by staking, because you remove the headache of like what. Because you see, right now you're getting this urge because you unstake, because you have a lot of liquid. So all those ideas are going to come to your head.
Yeah,
like I'm telling you right now, watch this. There's people watching right now. They're like, oh my God, 30 cents. They're waiting, they're itching. Oh, the price may do this, the price may do that. And then guess what? They sell, it wick down, and then they don't understand that's the trap. And the next thing you know, we start, Godwell comes in and other people, boom, next thing you know, we're at 45 cents. Then they're going to come back, cry again. Oh my God, I had this many hex, now I'm getting less and I'm getting less. I've watched people sell literally, like I'm talking about 10, 15 million hex for like $60,000, bragging about it. And then now they're on suicide watch because that thing is worth like millions of dollars. I am telling you, we're telling you out of care because this thing is literally designed to pump. It's called on-demand liquidity for a fucking reason. Like Richard said earlier to the stream with Kevin, because Kevin made that mistake too, because a little bit of a trader. Richard went on the website, typed it in. $1.5 million market sale right now. You get less than 3% slippage. The liquidity is there. It's called on-demand for a reason. It's like we're at the train stop. We're waiting for the passengers to come in because we want people to come in. When we realize that the cabin is full, guess what? Doors are closing. See you later. We're going to the next stop. Some of us, like myself, I don't even wait. Money comes in, I just market buy, I stake. Money printers. You will never lose. The money printers always whiz. That's why that favorite quote from Einstein, right? The eighth wonder of the world. The last part is the key. He who understands it earns it. He who does not pays it. You're sitting liquid right now. You're paying me every day. Every day that you're sitting liquid, you're paying me. You might make a move, make a trade. But let's not act like every trade is a win, right? With staking, you always win. With the dream account, you're like, let me talk in trader talk. With the dream account, it's like I'm leverage long, 3x, God mode, multiple six figures. Can't lose.
Yeah, it's true.
My exit is like if I die or something happened to me. That's my liquidation price. I need to die or not be here to collect when the time comes.
Yeah, I was making that argument on Twitter, to be fair. Like, trading, I think trading has a place. I think for most people, they shouldn't trade. I've been very clear about this on my social media. Like 97% of people shouldn't trade. It's very bad. You're going to lose. You're going to get wrecked. Like 97% of people, like I play poker professionally for 15, 20 years almost. I have poker products and services. I have 600 videos on YouTube. You probably shouldn't play poker if you care about making money. If you like to play poker, play for entertainment. If you want to make money, you shouldn't play poker because most people are going to lose. So I'm very clear about that. Most people shouldn't trade. Yeah, but I think trading, you could do better. And like you could almost say that exponentially about Hex because your opportunity cost of trading Hex is so much higher than your opportunity cost of trading another currency because you're getting paid 20% a year to just stake the fucking thing, or more than that if you delay your time preference longer. Trading Hex is probably not the best. So you put up a post about the PulseSwap. I want to ask a question because you guys are definitely more educated than me. You put up a post about the PulseSwap. How many people are going to be sacrificing? It sounded like, Maddie, your audience, I forgot the number, but it was like 80% are going to be sacrificing. You have 5 days to sacrifice. Everyone pays the same rate. I appreciate Richard trying to give everyone a fair deal and not create this pump in the beginning and all this stuff. But like, are you concerned that, and this is for all of you guys or even the audience, like, are you concerned that because such a high percentage of the Hex population is going to be sacrificing for Pulse, that you're not going to necessarily be getting as good of a deal, even if you do sacrifice early? How do you kind of look at this? Where so many people are sacrificing, how do you know what price you're getting in or what market cap you're getting in at?
As a broadcaster, part of my thinking is, unfortunately, but realistically is like, oh, should I tell everybody how excited I am about PulseX and how much I'm going to sacrifice? And the answer is yes. And the reason is because the origin address, when it came to Pulse, sacrificed an extra 14 billion right at the end. I was actually one of the few people, or the only person who predicted that there would be like a 10 billion sack at the end. But I didn't say anything until after all the whales had gotten in on the first 5 or 7 days or whatever. And there's so I didn't want the whales to get scared off. But I realized that by diluting the OA, diluting all of us by 90%, but then never selling a coin, that's good for everyone.
That's more of a defense mechanism than anything. And just to preface this, it's done on the end purposely so that people don't get negatively affected by the volume multiplier bonus. So those people didn't get affected by that. It's just, remember, it's proof of stake. It's a defense mechanism. If there's bad actor coming in, let's say those type of miners that you can never talk to or whatever comes in, screw the community. We're just going to buy a lot of coins, come in and just suck value. With that kind of war chest, you get to protect to make sure that the right people doing the right for the community are the one end up being kind of voted for. So that's more of a defense mechanism. That's number one. Number two, related to the sacrifice question, and I'm going to use Pulse as a perfect indicator because we were there and that thing repeated itself. And I said the same thing. And that's exactly what happened. The reason why you want to, what I call swim with the whale, is because just in the beginning, when the whale comes in, yes, he got more money than you, this and that, but he's pumping the price 50 to 75%. Go back and look at the chart. That sacrifice, Godwell did like 150% pump in like 3 days. Insane. Just that alone, if you're smart to buy Hex, then he actually gave you a boost. He helped you double your stack. So yes, he's coming heavy, but he's giving you a hand. As a matter of fact, he ended up even sacrificing some ETH. On top of that, he just pumped the Hex because he wanted to make the Hex more scarce because he also wants to protect his position. Now, why is that? Let me explain. Because he knows that with the low liquidity, a normal person can come in, pump it very, very high, and then be able to sacrifice and beat his position. So by pumping it first, he creates the defense mechanism. Something goes up 200%. Big money is going to think twice before coming in after a 200% pump. Alec, you know this, you're a trader, because they're going to wait for the so-called retracement, which may or may not come, because then the little guy comes in too, because he wants to get some of that action. So it's a defense mechanism for him to make sure when big money is trying to come in, it's not going to be able to sack more than him. It's advanced game theory. He's hooking up the Hexagon because we're not pushing the price down because we're going to sacrifice Hex, which is why we're buying Hex, because when the price goes up, the value of our sacrifice goes up.
Yeah, it's really smart. It's really
exactly. So everybody's helping each other in the community, and then we just ride. It's called swim with the whale. Now, after the 5 days, when people started to become greedy once again, oh, I'm going to wait. It's going to get more. It's going to get more. And I told people, I said, guys, the 5% compound is not your friend. The whale may close the door because guess what? Common sense. When the whale is done sacking, he's fucking done. Yeah. He doesn't need to wait anymore.
He wants the price to go down so everybody who's buying in doesn't get more of a punch.
Exactly. Yeah. So those who listen that got in the first 3 days, they got hooked up. It was crazy. I said,
if I sack, the strategy is to sack in the first 5 days where the price is the same.
Yes. But you wouldn't have said with Ethereum, like why, when Ethereum was doing their ICO, you would have bought as much as you could and not worried about other people buying, So if the game theory is there, then that's where I go.
Yeah. So the two tips for you and everybody watching, quick math, free alpha from Karim always. Not only you want to sack within the first 5 days because there's no penalty. Why lose 5% just for fun? Just because you're trying to make a trade? That's just dumb. Because that 5% is guaranteed loss. It's a guaranteed loss after that 5 days. And number two, that's the key. You watch the whale because the TWAP is your friend, time weighted average price. When the whale comes in and sack, he needs to hold the price for at least 30 minutes. That's your fucking entry. You sack with him, you get his price. So when he pushed the price up and do his thing, you do it with him. That's what the peak was by day 3 to 4. After that, when he's done, he has no reason to keep the price up. Not saying that he would have, but he has no reason. And I've told people, those who listen, of course, the Corn Gang crew, they got paid. Those who didn't, they got wrecked and we went back to 9 cents. Insane. And that's when they sacked that.
But Wave 3, what do you think?
Everything's good, yeah.
Yeah, so first and foremost, I do not believe, unless math already proves this isn't the math. Traders do not beat holders. If you pick the right coins in the market, you're not going to beat somebody that just holds on to the coins. The only thing that matters as somebody that's investing is, do you have the coins for the move that actually matters? Do you have the coins when you have that 100x move over a 6-month period? So most people, I shouldn't say most participants in any asset class don't. They generally don't have coins or stocks or whatever for that actual big move. So that's where you get basically slung. That's the moonshot. That's the slingshot all the way up to the much higher tier in terms of net wealth, quality of living, everything. And unless, because the issue with trading is, sure, you can make a few good wins here and there, but then one bad move and you're behind. So that if over time, if somebody's looking at their USD balance, if your USD balance is going up, another way to look at it is your net holdings relative, is your net wealth worth in Hex, or if you're doing something with Bitcoin, is your net holdings relative to whatever native asset you're using as your reference point increasing, or is that decreasing over time? And it's almost like if you look at, I would say a good chart for this to sort of understand kind of the dilemma a lot of a lot of like traders get into is like, you look at the Litecoin to Bitcoin chart. That's and if you kind of look at that as a reference point, where if the person's net wealth was sort of denominated in some native asset, whatever it is they're trading against, that's sort of what their portfolio tends to look like over time, because it's emotions get, you know, really high. They can get they get into like a bad feedback loop that can cause very destructive habits. And I'm not saying like I'm just saying this is the vast majority. Like 99% of people should not be doing anything other than holding assets. But essentially, because a lot of people have this kind of idea where they can predict randomness. To me, it's like it's all an illusion. It's all storytelling.
Yeah.
Nobody really knows what's going to happen in absolute terms, and the only people that win are those that basically hold onto the superior assets over that period of time, so that they reap the rewards. And the same thing is also for, you know, tops and stuff, because people always look back. The thing with hindsight and looking back at price charts is it's all an illusion, because whatever happens in the end, you're always going to go back and look at what the perfect play is. There's always going to be a perfect play. There's always going to be hindsight people look back at. So they set this unrealistic expectation, like this bar that's always in front of them that they can never reach, because that's what they're not understanding, like the randomness aspect of markets, and that's just what plays out. So the people that hold and let, you know, things sort of take care of itself over, you know, multi-month, in crypto it's generally like 6 to 12 months, but generally if it's, you know, you look over the course of like 4 or 5 years, those that just generally don't really ever, you know, trade or sell in very large quantities tend to do very well. So and that's just kind of the dilemma aspect of it. So I don't believe there's a single trader in this market that can outpace basically a holder, especially not with what Hex did. There's already the results. Hex did a bigger move on the price chart than Bitcoin in 2017, and there's not a single person like in this market. The thing is, if people are buying like trading software in crypto, they're getting fucking scammed. Like all that shit is bullshit. That's all bullshit. It's all garbage. Better off just buying the coins, holding on to them, and then waiting for the market to sort of take care of itself, whatever the picks are. So, you know, that's just my, yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
You know, what's funny is like Hex gets, so a couple things. One is a good book everyone should read about trading. It's called Fooled by Randomness by Nassim Taleb. It's like a book about judging things by the outcome, not the merit of the decision, and correlating things that aren't correlated. It's an amazing book. I totally agree about trading. What's funny about Hex is, like, on the surface, like superficially, like people write it off as like a scam, but like a lot of what the Hexicans are trying to do is trying to educate people about not getting wrecked in crypto and holding superior assets, which is like typically what people should be doing, right? So like a lot of the people that are looking for this next moonshot in like a meme coin that's actually a scam and it should be worth nothing, and is I believe at least going to go to zero or 95% of its value is going to be lost over time. Like those are the actual scams in crypto, and then the people trading them are like, you know, the dumb money that's going to get wrecked, or the liquidity to someone's exit. But it is I find it's kind of ironic because like there's this like superficial view of Hex to outsiders that look at Hex in like a certain way, because it seems like, you know, a Ponzi on the surface when people look into it. It's like a common question that people ask about Hex. But then when you go deeper in the community, like the average person in Hex, at least in my experience, has been like trying to do the opposite of what people are accusing Hexicans of. They're actually trying to like help people and educate people and try and make them like aware of scams and not get scammed, and just, hey, hold assets, don't trade, don't do dumb shit, don't get wrecked. And like all those things are true and good principles of trading in life and crypto. So it's been an interesting journey.
It's so important what you just said, you see, because this is where the wisdom lies. Because all those powerful teachings, right? Delayed gratification, personal development, eating healthy, with Maddie, sometimes the therapy, the mindset, all this other stuff, that's what actually matters. And what's amazing is, and I think you kind of notice now, it's actually because those other people, the scammers, which have the marketing budgets and all this other stuff, they're too busy trying to give us a bad rep. Because if we wake up the people, like in the Matrix, say, hey, the red pill, wake up. it's bad for their business. So they're actively trying to gatekeep, because the moment most of the majority, which is going to happen, are waking up to what the hell is actually going on, when they realize that, yo, joke's on you, you're the sucker in the room, not only they're going to get pissed, they're going to come back with the forks and the knives, but then they will now be immune. It's like Pandora's box. Once it's open, once you know, you cannot be scammed anymore. And this is what we're focusing on, because the more people we wake up, the faster it's going to happen, and the more quote unquote legitimacy is going to come, when funny reality was already there. It's just, we're just being gatekept by this veil of nonsense, because, you know, negativity travel faster, right, than positivity and stuff like that.
Yeah,
so,
like you don't want, if you're another coin, you don't want something like Hex where people are like delaying gratification, they're locking up liquidity for 7 years, because like that liquidity is not yours, right? These people are not going to get scammed. They're not fish. They're not going to just, fish is a term for a bad poker player. Sorry. But like, yeah, it's really funny. I think the coolest part, and I got to run, guys, I really appreciate you having me on the show, but I think the coolest part about Hex is like the incentive to delay gratification, and the first principle of understanding how important delayed gratification is for success is apparent financially when you're invested in Hex, right? Because you're like, delayed gratification does well because you get paid interest, and the longer you delay that gratification, the more benefit you have. So it reshapes people's thinking to be, you know, that marshmallow experiment that you heard about when you were a kid. When you eat, you know, the marshmallow now, it's not as good as eating the marshmallow later. Hex really reinforces that over time. And then, like, I think people sort of learn these positive attributes of like, hey, if I delay gratification and don't eat cheesecake and I eat broccoli, that's going to help me as well. So you're kind of flexing this muscle of delaying gratification, which is like a first principle that'll help a lot of people in life in general, which is really cool.
As you know, my background is in therapy and in neuroscience as well. So I've been training these two different disciplines for 7 years each. And I kind of came up with this term, pay your future self, which is where, you know, you're time locking. And so you're saving yourself from yourself. Whereas people who bought Bitcoin at a penny, they got incentivized to sell when it hit $100 or $1,000. And so I even bought a DeLorean, like in Back to the Future. And so some of these Hex meetups that Karim's on, they're going to 40 different cities. Sometimes I show up in the DeLorean and give people a taste of the future.
Yeah, I think it's cool. I actually think staking is a huge feature, not a bug, because like Wave3 said, like most people are their own worst enemy. They're emotional. They might have a plan to like, hey, I'm going to hold Hex for a year. But if, you know, let's say the price goes up, you know, 5x and it goes down 2x, they're like, oh, I should have got out on panic, and they sell it at 3x and they could have 30x, right? And I'm not saying that's going to happen, but like if you follow the history of you know, these cryptos that are actually stores of value, that's happened. And a lot of people have these terrible stories of buying, you know, a Bitcoin pizza, and it's like, you know, the guy's, you know, suicide watch, right? So like, I think it makes sense to lock up liquidity in a project you believe in. And like, for me, that was cool about Hex, was that it was like, look, I could like force myself to not paper hands myself. And it's also like something I talked about in my tweet. If you read my tweet thread on my thoughts about trading Hex, is like, there's an opportunity cost to your time and energy being spent on figuring out optimal moves. And like all that staking basically removes all of your energy being expelled into figuring out an optimal strategy, and allows you to spend that energy, which is really money, right? Because you're spending energy, which you convert your time into money, but you're spending that energy into something else that's more productive to not have to think about your own wealth. So like, I think that's a huge value add too.
Very well said. I don't know if you heard my saying, but it's exactly that. When I say stake, date, and chill, you're getting your life back. You know what I mean? If you're a husband, a wife, you got kids, this, that, you're not just stuck at the screen anymore. You actually get to enjoy, and then it creates that forced discipline. This is where the wisdom comes in. And why Hex is so good with the staking is actually, it does everything that a trader would ever dream. That's the craziest part. It comes with the price appreciation, sudden pump, hard, long term. Okay, what is the value of trading, right? Get more of the coin. Guess what? Fucking staking does that for you. It gives you more of the coin. And what's even better, it already comes with the structure when to cash out, which is what we call sell the interest, leave off the principal. So your cashing out strategy becomes more about how perfect your staking ladder is strategy-wise, not when to time markets. Because when you do that, you're no longer worried about the price. You're just doing your time in the market, right? I always say this all the time. It's not about timing the market. It's time in the market. You're never worried about the price, and everything else is going to be taken care for you. And one more thing.
So thanks to Kryptorelli for being on the show. We really
guys, I gotta run.
Coming on. We appreciate you having had like the best interview with Richard. And so
thank you guys. Thank you so much.
Thanks for being here, and thanks for
Wave.
learning.
Yeah, Karim, Maddie, all the audience, appreciate you guys educating me and being open-minded with my journey through Hex. So stay in touch, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye, everybody.
See you on the
See you in the
PulseChain.
future.
Yeah.
That's awesome. No, but I'm excited. I'm glad he got that U-turn feeling to understand what's more important. And then what I love the most about the PulseChain is we're going to be able to accelerate that wealth building for people. I can't wait for all you crabs out there, turtles and squids. I mean, squids you can already set. At 40 cents, you're already a millionaire, if not already. So, but all you turtle and crab, you're next. You know what I mean? Stay on the wagon. Don't be left behind. Get your copy, and we might get you there faster than expected. So excited about that.
So Wave3, are you planning to sack hard for PulseX, or what's your play?
Yes, I will be sacking a considerable amount for PulseX. So I would say the longer I'm in this market, I'm basically becoming more increasingally basically Richard Hart maxi over time, because
eccentric.
Yeah, it's the
Richard Hart centric.
Right?
It's hard. It's because once you have the results, because at the end of the day, the big thing for me is I just like to have data over long periods of time that just influence how I position in markets over the course of time. So the results are extremely good. Like, you just look at it's very clear. It's leading the cycle. Like, there's nothing to really there's nothing somebody can argue against it. It's just the results are there. And squids became I think basically, if you do the calculations, probably the upper end squids probably hit multi-millionaires during that last move. And then even like the just that whole bracket will likely do really well again in 2022. And that has the potential one day, we're talking, years from now, squids today, Krakens in the future. So, it's the same thing with like Bitcoin, positions that are perceived as like sizable, like let's say in Bitcoin, that can very well mirror over very nicely into the squid bracket, as well as even turtles. Because really the main thing I think a lot of people still not really paying too much attention to, even though there's a lot of, I know you guys talk about T-shares all the time to educate the audience.
What are those?
Yeah, so the T-shares, I mean, that's the, if you look at the way, interest, you're given interest in the system. So each T-share gives you, I think today, around 5.9 hex payout per T-share. So the cost of those T-shares to get those interest has been rocketing. Like we a year prior, a year ago, the cost of that was at, probably like a 10x multiple lower than it is today. I think T-shirts are somewhere around $4,000 to $5,000 per T-shirt today. It got to the point where the number just keeps going up. So it's one thing I mostly just try to, if I'm setting up like stakes, it's that making sure I set it the length of time in a way that optimizes that type of payout is pretty important, because the cost of that's only going to keep increasing over time. T-shares, to my understanding, I believe those are actually deflationary, because the cost keeps ratcheting up higher and higher over time. So the amount that's in the system can only decrease. So there's a huge supply sink, and that just takes place over time with the T-shares. And right now with people that are setting up stakes, you basically have within that 15-year window. Like if you did a shorter stake, people refer it to as like boosting up. Technically, like depending on how you frame it, you're not actually like boosting up. You're just taking advantage of the time lock. So you're getting a higher, you're just getting more shares in the system. But basically, like when you're set up for a period of like 2 years and you get that stake, you can punt it out further to try to have more shares relative to your original stake, which was done over a shorter period of time. So, but after that 10 to 15 year window, that doesn't work anymore. Like that number can only keep decreasing from there. And that's the part that's really, really, mind blowing. That's why I think a good point that Karim made is even regards to the arbitrage between PulseChain and Ethereum, because the share rates, over time and how that ratchets up in the two systems can be different, and that could be perceived as so that's actually a very interesting point, because I did not think about that. So I think that is actually another very interesting aspect if you look at eHex and Hex over a period of time that I think only today we can speculate on it, but it's actually a good reason why people may go to they may speculate on one side being perceived as cheaper due to a better deal on the share rate. So that's actually very interesting.
You're very welcome, and I'm glad you're saying that, because true Hexicans knows, and especially the people of the Quan gang, listen, I give away the free alpha because that's what Richard does. You know what I mean? So, giving Trio Crypto, giving Forest now. And I'm like, and I've said it, I'll be the second one, because the system is so well designed that the more we get it, the more we get on the fucking program together, the better we all become. He said even today again in the live stream, who cares about having 50% of a pie or 100%? That sucks. That's only a 2x. I'd rather get a lower percentage and make the pie bigger for everybody. We all get mad gains because the system is that good. And that's why not having the admin keys also is so important, because we truly understand how big this can go. So the more everybody's on the plan, understand what to do, the better it's going to be. And the more they're going to win. So that, it sucks, people, and then years later, they're going to be asking me for money and shit. And it's like, dude, you could have been there. It's like, what are you doing? Get it now so that you don't have any excuse, because I told you why it was important. And remember, once again, this is why Hex is a product, not a project. It's going to keep doing what it's going to do. Remember, the yield is the key, the T-shares. So going back again, because repetition is key, all those people trying to gamble and think like a trader, they're going to get wrecked. They don't understand that they have a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. This is big payday fucking 2.0, but better. Because back in the day, big payday, you stake for a day, maybe you get 30%. This, you get in the day before or the day of, and you stake, you get that T-share 100%, because it's basically just split, double. So if you set up your ladder and you get everything prepared, you're going to be so paid by next year. You're going to be like, holy cow. Because you don't need to worry about the shenanigans. You need to apply logic and math. Logic first, because, right, you can compute the wrong thing. The calculator gives you the answer, but that's the wrong answer because the computation is wrong. You don't want to underestimate the value of the share rate. You don't want to underestimate the value of the yield. There's going to be a lot of shit coins that's going to be losing their value, and it's going to go where the value is needed the most. Bear market is here upon us, but we've already been there. So on all the change, when that starts to hit, you want to be there and prepared. And the beauty is you don't have to pick, because you're getting the copy for free, like literally. Just get paid, because I know what the big wallets are going to do. I know what I'm going to do, because it's just common sense. So don't play that game and don't get wrecked, because we want you to be here for a long time. All right, quick, we got a little apparition here, guys. 1 second. I got some guests here. Come on back.
Hey, guys. We just wanted to say hello. How's it going, Maddie?
It's a party.
Exactly.
Wave3TV. I also cannot wait to meet you on the 30th, right?
Yes.
We will meet in like 2 days. It's going to be awesome. One big mansion, 2 yachts, and everything going to be filmed for the Hex community. We have not brought that out yet, so I do want to say that to the Hex community, watch the Kryptosparbach live stream on the 30th. The OG meetup that we have here in Miami will be live streamed and will be a lot of fun. You do not want to miss that.
See? And in the future, we'll do more parties and you're going to be invited, so get your T-shirts, come hang out with us. Apparently 1 yacht wasn't enough, so we needed 2, restriction, because we got a lot of people coming and it's going to be a lot of fun. But that's what this is about, right? Stay there and chill.
And right now, Nardo is coming and we want to pick him up. And we want to ask you, Karim, do you want to come with us to pick up Nardo and chill out with us, or do you want to stay here?
I'm going to stay here for a little bit.
You want to stay here and maybe
later
train a little bit for the workshop tomorrow?
Yes.
You have to prepare for the market tomorrow? Great.
And Maddie, too, has been doing a great job preparing for the online conference. So, yeah, we're not going to do a 5-hour live stream today.
Right. You guys have fun. We pick up Nardo and then we'll see us anywhere.
Awesome.
Have fun, guys.
Bang, bang.
Sounds great.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for checking in, guys. Great to see you.
You see, cool people are having a good time, understanding the value of T-shirt preservation and spreading the word. But, yeah, they're absolutely right, guys. Please, if you get the chance, go on the channel, like and subscribe, watch the stream. We're doing amazing job out here. Again, outbound messaging. My biggest fear right now is people don't understand how high price is going to go in the future. So we need to onboard as many people as we can, because like I famously say, right, price goes up, great, then a t-shirt becomes 10 grand. How many people do you know that got 10 grand to even get one? And we're going to start talking about B-share very, very fast. So it is everybody's duty to onboard everybody right now. Save them. Put your ego aside. Even if you hate them or they did you wrong, it's okay. Make an exception, because PulseChain can change their life, especially if they sacrifice before. And so that's my biggest message. You know, share the love. I don't ask for money or anything like that. I give you free alpha for free. You know, we always here with Maddie and Wave3. So all we ask is share the love. You know, help somebody else, help get out of the rat race. You know.
Yeah, the upside is
so
pretty ridiculous if you look at Pulse and PulseX. So, you know, if you just compare prior moves in the market, you know, with even just use BNB as a reference point in terms of what that actually did during a bear market too. Actually, yes. I think it was BNB had a big move even during a bear market. So, you know, it's not often you get these kinds of opportunities. It's really not. So this is sort of a, you know, you look at cyclical opportunities that come, and you know, and every single time, like it's always easy again to look back at things in hindsight, but all that, it basically boils down to whether you take action when the opportunity is there, and that is really what makes the difference. And then whether you sustain that conviction over a long period of time, because you're not going to have necessarily the staking mechanics like Hex with something like Pulse, for example. So you know, there's like a chance that some people can prematurely part ways with their coins, but I can assure you that when that thing really gets going, you know, again, the whole point of investing is to have coins during those really big moves, because the really big moves in crypto, they happen extremely fast. Like you have to have the coins before that happens. Otherwise you will be left behind, and then you will pay 100 times higher per price of token when the next price floor is set. And just like that pushes you actually at a lower, 2 levels lower within that system in terms of what your network share is. So, markets move really fast, and I think there's a huge advantage again. And Maddie mentioned it earlier with USDC, since Hex has its own liquidity pool. That's a huge advantage, because now it doesn't have this like external force exerted on it that Bitcoin does over all the other coins in the market. So, you know, this is a very, it's a pure ecosystem basically. Like Hex is the first peer in the market, and now it's turning into a much larger ecosystem across PulseChain and PulseX. So it's going to be a lot of fun, because when Pulse starts to move, or PulseX, the liquidity with between PulseX, Pulse, Hex, you can actually have the values of all that stuff start to appreciate if you go by Heart's Last. So that's why, you know, Maddie and Karim bring up even a lot of the game theory related to PulseX, the swapping, the PRC20s, because all that liquidity is basically interconnected.
Can I ask, are you able to bring up some charts maybe of some things that are similar to PulseX? I'm not sure if PancakeSwap and
I have a couple ideas actually.
Binance Smart Chain.
Yeah.
And Karim can react as well while we're setting that up, because I would love to kind of see what similar things have done, and then be able to realize that the game theory here is much better, that the users are much better. Hexagons don't necessarily need to sell in proportion to what they're sacking and that sort of thing.
And this is funny, and I'm so glad you pointed that out, Maddie. And then, Wav, if you can start with that. Another chart that people forgot but did extremely well in the bear market, again, is EOS, because it did a 40x in the bear market. Why is that the first one that I want to bring up? Because, again, it did a 40x in the bear market, check. It was actually delegated proof of stake, you know, the one thing that Dan Larimer did well, which is what we're going to have, 3-second block and all that other stuff. And believe it or not, although low, it still had inflation. PulseChain is going to be deflationary at the start. That's insane. With even more liquidity. So if you do the comparison, similar type blockchain, delegated proof of stake, blah, 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 validator, similar stuff, 40x when this has better product market fit, deflationary at start, more liquidity, more money, because it's not just like for one token, because again, it doesn't launch empty, because back in the day, EOS launched empty too. People had to build. This is already full because you come with all your Ethereum stuff. So you get all of that energy back, all of that liquidity back, plus the fact that it's deflationary at start. It literally did a 40x in the bear market. That's insane. That's one. Number two, for the PulseX, that's the only one that I actually want to compare to Binance, the coin, not the smart chain. Fuck that. Because the kind of volume we're going to be doing, thanks to the liquidity buck harvesting from everywhere to bring it to PulseX, is going to be the equivalent of like Binance, the centralized exchange. Because we're going to get the similar level execution, faster block, 3 seconds. It's going to feel like a centralized exchange, but on the decentralized. What was the word that started trending on Twitter? The combination of a centralized exchange and a DEX, whatever, CMEX, whatever that is. And people forget Binance coin started at less than $1. People forget that.
So this is EOS versus the dollar. I just want to call out to the people who are wondering.
Yes,
40x.
That is correct. Yeah, 40x in the bear market, and then from the starting price, this did a close, basically a 20x from the starting price, and then to flip it over to PancakeSwap, you look at where Cake token started. This was a huge move on the price chart. I mean, this was actually a 150x on the chart. So
let's go.
Yeah. So it's the moves the moves that these coins can make are very high.
Can we say, if we go back to PancakeSwap, can we say like how that is somewhat related to PulseX for those that aren't familiar?
Yeah. So for anybody that's not familiar, so PancakeSwap is a money market it's a money market and a decentralized exchange on Binance Smart Chain. So, but the thing is, it sort of has this token called Cake that's sort of attached to it. So PulseX it's going to be a DEX and a money market that exists on PulseChain, but the game theory and the tokenomics are much better for PulseX as opposed to Cake that exists on Binance Smart Chain. So, the game theory aspect of it, you look at what Hex did, it had a huge return, a huge ROI. So there's an advantage, in my opinion, just based off the game theory when you look at these ecosystems, and then just the fact that there's Richard Hart behind PulseChain. There's already enough information in this market that shows users are they are speculating on other chains, like they're moving value from Ethereum and bridging it over into some other EVM. There's I think 3 of them that are relatively popular in the market today. One of those is Binance Smart Chain. So there's a very obvious need for it, and if you go by the alpha factor for Richard Hart, that's already a huge competitive advantage for PulseChain specifically, and then plus the game theory, like. The game theory is really good for PulseX. So, the upside, in my opinion, like at this stage of the game, this is an opportunity. This is definitely an opportunity. You rarely find this kind of upside potential, when you're 3 to 4 years into a cycle. So, these kind of moves, these are rare opportunities, and even if you just use Cake as somewhat of a benchmark in terms of what a swap can do, this made a 150x move on the price chart, and then you saw what BNB did. This just went up and to the right.
And this is a great example here. People still don't get it. Those tokens, BNB, still had inflation because their rule was. They were saying, people get, again, just like kind of the cognitive dissonance with, Bitcoin is deflation. No, it's not. It cut in half, but it prints more. They were saying once we reach 200 million coin or whatever, that's when we will quote unquote hard cap it. But the point is, it was still inflating and still did this insane pump. We have something that's deflationary out the gate. And if everything goes well, the volume that is going to do is going to be rival to a Binance. And the timing couldn't be any perfect because those things explode even more in the bear market because everybody needs yield. Again, money will go when it's the best treated. That's why Hex is going to do very well. That's why when there's a bear market and nothing else is working, And on top of that, you're getting less and less money, and you think you're going to pay even more fee on the Ethereum blockchain when you're losing your money? Hell no. You're going to go where is the penny. And you get your same stuff over there. So it's really a no-brainer. You're incentivized to hold it. It's deflationary. And it has a slightly, Richard had a chart. I saw it. The 21% burn is actually one of the highest in all of those comparisons. Because
Correct.
some of them are like 17%, 18%. We're at 21. We're there. The highest.
And those other coins, they're, you know, the inflation that isn't burned, or the initial pre-mine supply, or whatever you want to call it, is going to founders who are exiting. They are selling because they don't have billions of dollars of other assets. And so this is their golden goose that they're going to kill, is how crypto goes. And so our Wave3, are you able to shout out like what the different X's are? Because I think the font is way too tiny on these trading charts for us to be able to see.
Sure.
From that first run up all the way to that mid range, that's probably at least 50x, right?
It's even more than that. So BNB from start to finish during its first cycle did a 300x on the price chart. So you know, you look at 300x on BNB. There's a 150x on Cake, and then as Karim mentioned with the game theory, the burning, you know, the token deflation is huge, because again, this happened, you know, just to say it again, this happened on inflationary tokens, as Karim mentioned. So the game theory is better for both Pulse and PulseX. So because the game theory is better, you know, I don't see why it can't do higher, you know, X's as a result. Like you saw what Hex did during its first really big move. So, you know, because there's more stable coins in the market today, it is possible. Like this isn't necessarily a guarantee, because to some extent there is going to be some relative competition between like the upside performance, you know, for Hex, Pulse, and PulseX. But because there is more stable coins in the market today, you could actually see a higher move on the price chart for Pulse and PulseX compared to that of the first big move that took place on the Hex price chart, because, you know, we're sort of transitioning into a different phase with the whole ecosystem with Hex and PulseChain. Even though there still is a lot of negative stigma, there also is sort of a lot of silent cope in the background that's starting to kind of accept the reality of the price performance, and the fact that it's just not going to ever go away. So and over time, like that's a huge gravity in the market, because again, like dominant assets in the market tend to suck value out of other ecosystems, and that's why if you look at Ethereum, and the only two assets that are, you know, relevant on Ethereum after this last big run, or this last cycle that we've had, are Hex and ETH, and like everything else is basically bleeding out. Like the charts are really bad if you compare some ERC20 coin compared to the Hex to USD. It's basically, it looks like the Litecoin to Bitcoin chart, if to give a better understanding of that. So, you know,
do you want to show that now, since you referred to that earlier, and that sounds very interesting?
Yeah. So I'm sorry, Karim, go ahead.
Good. Oh, just a quick note that I wanted to remind the viewer again, that makes it insane. Richard said it best. When was the best time, right, to buy Bitcoin, right? When Satoshi owned most of the coin, quote unquote. In this reference, I'll say the sacrificer or whatever. So competition or not, because it is deflationary, which again is so key, there's no inflation. If those people, wink, wink, most of them are Hexicans, decide not to sell, who's gonna push the price down? Nobody. This thing is going to just fly. If anything, the automatic bot is just going to just keep, you know, for the PulseX, for example, it's just going to keep pushing the price up, because it's just going to keep doing the market buy. And this is my speculation to avoid, you know, people expectation of work of others, or people trying to time the market. I think they're going to code something where it's just going to market buy at every block. So that way, it's just, you see what I'm saying? Just automatically. No, it's
going to be a public function. That's part of the no admin keys. So it'll be like good accounting that John Wick just ran. But except people will be incentivized to run it more often. But it will be a public function.
Because the fees so cheap, Matty. It's going to be so cheap. You can do it every day or every fucking couple hours if you want.
Okay, that's true.
Do you get what I'm saying? So my point is, it becomes so easy, And again, deflationary, no inflation, no negative externality, just like Hex. I even slightly want to say PulseX might temporarily pump more than Pulse, because in Pulse, the validators still get paid. The validators still get paid and need to sell to pay for infrastructure, although it's definitely cheaper than the Bitcoin mining, but it still costs money. But now the game becomes, well, how much buying comes first? Because maybe people will buy the Pulse first before they go and play the PulseX game, because they need to get the bag. Like, for example, you go get a bag of ETH first, right? Then you go pump Uniswap. Make sense? Because you kind of need that Pulse in order to buy the PulseX. But this is what, again, people, listen, don't trade. Know my rule. Get your bag on both, sit and chill. But that negative externality not being there is huge on top of the deflationary. So even if competition decide not to come play, it's going to be a joke, because nothing else is going to have liquidity. So they're going to be forced to come. And even if they don't, if nobody sell, we can just keep pumping the price. People are going to come. Price goes up. It's one of the best marketing tool, period. You're going to come.
Yeah.
If
okay, I'm being corrected that the public function code isn't ready yet, and so it's going to launch without that, which is fine. But thanks for letting me know, chat.
Nice, thank you. Yeah, but eventually we'll come, right? That's because that's the ultimate goal. But the point is, long term, we're not gonna have to be like a fucking Binance, like, hey guys, quarterly burn or bullshit like that. Which, funny enough, they stopped talking about it because that would make them a security. But we're gonna have that on steroid. And remember what happened to Uniswap? The moment it came out, they all the exchange went to buy it. Why? Because they don't want to be left behind. This is going to be the easiest thing to be able to do, NFT, which I don't like.
That's a great point.
People are going to come in, they're going to be forced to buy it. And that's going to break the gate. So they're going to buy Pulse to then buy PulseX, or just list PulseX directly.
So I have a question. I have a question about like how, so the fixer bot's going to go through. I'm trying to remember from like the early days of the game theory to now, it was just being proposed. I remember that there would be a certain percentage that would be allocated of Pulse to the fixer bot. But now I'm wondering if we've heard anything about that, or if we know, because all of these, everybody who holds liquidity, we're not talking about ERCs getting copied over to PRCs that are just being held by people, but we're talking about actually in the automated market makers, those people's copies are going to be fixed by the fixer bot 1,000 to 1, or they're going to be given Pulse instead, is my understanding. And my question is, how significant is that amount of Pulse to the total supply?
It's going to be very small, because the harvesting is going to be so insane that, but first of all, funny joke, they need to decide to come play the game first, because they have to build the bridge. If they don't, it's just kind of there. Imagine kind of like a burn wallet. Coins are there, but you just can't access it. It's like you send.
Well, but they can trade. Yeah, they'll be able to trade for
the moment they come into play and they connect at least once, because they connect at least once, the bot comes in and then the game cannot be played. It's like, imagine like a car, you just need to start it. The moment you start it, you cannot stop it. So let's just assume those who started, the game is going to run for that. Those who don't, it's just going to sit there waiting for somebody to eventually come and start it. It's kind of like providing liquidity, right? The first person needs to come in and create the pair, put the liquidity, and then other people can come and add and stuff, like kind of stuff. So, but I imagine it's going to be very, very small. To make
2.5 was what I had in my head as the amount that was being allocated to that. And K4K Crypto is like backing that up.
That's what Richard said, yes, 2 to 2.5. That was a rough estimate.
That's because that really changes my prediction of how Pulse can perform, because there's not going to be as much to dump on the market by those people who are going to have to decide, do they want to trade what the fixer bot has given them, which is a bunch of Pulse, 99% Pulse. Do they want to trade that back for their PRC20, or do they want to trade the Pulse out of the system, essentially, somehow through some bridge?
And this is why, Marty, right? This is why my game theory psychology is this. First, they're not going to care. Then the price going to start to pump. And then people are going to start being, oh my God, my bag over there that I didn't touch is becoming more and more valuable. Then they get enticed. Then they come and then they'll play the game.
Yeah. Well, 2.5% of them have to want to play the game. And then, so that's a small amount of people, really. And so we're not going to have this Bitcoin Cash problem where 100% of the supply is given to people who hate it, and like some of whom are legally forced to dump it. So yeah, I like it a lot.
Because in the beginning, all the day ones are going to be obviously, Hexagon, PulseChain, and everybody that care about building a solid project or product that's not able to be feasible on Ethereum due to high gas fee, they're going to come right away because they don't care about that. They want to make their project come to reality. Some of them are already quote unquote rich, made money in crypto. They just want to build their stuff. So those are going to come day one. The other one, the money is going to be enticing when you start realizing the copy is becoming more and more valuable. Because like you said, they harvest so many coins and it gives you Pulse in return, right? And then watch this. The moment the Pulse token keeps going high and high in value, you naturally become enticed mathematically to come connect the bridge. Because whatever you have left due to that ratio is worth a lot in Pulse term. You understand? So as the Pulse chain value goes up higher and higher, right, due to Hart's law, bonding liquidity, the value of your copy that you didn't touch, which is virtual, is becoming more and more valuable, which then entice you to want to connect, because then you can swap it for Pulse and then dump the Pulse on the market because the Pulse keeps going up in price.
Or to provide liquidity,
or to provide liquidity to get
yield farm, because yield farmers are probably going to do the best because they're going to be holding in a sense.
But that's the incentive.
Yes, the incentive token. K4K Crypto says there's only about 6% of ETH or less in DEXs. So it only prints around the square root of that percentage. Interesting.
Yep. Because it copies whatever that's there. That's why the snapshot cannot be told exactly when, because some people will try to be sneaky, right? Pull liquidity, snap, and then bring it back or whatever. So whatever that's there, and then the ratio fixer bar comes in. The point is, it's going to take most of the PRC, hold it, and give Pulse in return. But then you're going to be like, oh, I barely have any of my quote-unquote coin copies, but I have all this Pulse. And then you're going to watch the Pulse becoming more and more valuable because we're going to pump that thing for sure, which then incite you to come connect the bridge, because whatever that's there that you used to ignore is now very valuable. It's like you got free hex, 500,000 hex, whatever. You didn't care. It's it's there. I'm not going to connect the wallet. Yeah. Or I claim it barely, but I didn't even touch it. And then 100x or 1000x. Oh shit. Now you want to use that hex because you may want to convert it for Ethereum, USDC, whatever it might be. That's what I'm trying to say. That's going to be the incentive flow for the later comers. The people from the get-go that want to build for lower fee, they're going to come right away. They're not going to wait.
So Dylan Murray, who's also a known genius around here, is saying you realize that the pools will be refilled with Pulse to match the amount that was bought up on all the other AMMs, meaning there will be billions in liquidity versus Pulse across all the pairs.
Yep. Pulse will be kind of like Ethereum pay on us. And then as the Pulse becomes more valuable, even the shitcoin guy is going to come. They don't care about their coin. They want to swap it for the Pulse because the Pulse is becoming more valuable. That's the incentive to come build the bridge, because the moment you build the bridge and you can swap it back for Pulse, which is becoming extremely valuable, it's a no-brainer there. You want to access your free money. Just like every airdrop that you don't care about, and then the price goes up a lot, and now that little thing turns into a lot. Now you want to claim it one way or another. In this game, the claiming act is you building the bridge to come, because we're not going to build it for you. So, but it's fucking genius. I just can't wait. Like, it's, yeah.
I think, I'll cover like the yield farming for a PLX. I haven't talked about it yet because it doesn't exist yet, but that's something that I imagine will be on the table, because those of us who are holding that one, right, it doesn't necessarily pay you to lock it, but there's going to be a trade-off with impermanent loss. And so the question is, what are the major trading pairs and liquidity pool pairs? What are those going to be, in my opinion? And then how do I think that those assets are going to do? Because I am not interested in getting a small yield if I'm basically giving up the token appreciation itself, right?
Yeah, no, F that. The only liquidity farming that I would ever do, if any, no offense, because APY is just king, it will just be for maybe the incentive token when Richard announced that game theory. That would be the only, because I just love money printers, because I'm not going to sell the PulseX. Like I said, guys, it's just we add another money printer to the list. Wave3 said it best. We're becoming, whether we like it or not, this is common sense. We're becoming more and more the Richard Hart maximalist. I mean, I hate the term, but it's just, I mean, the game theory is just so good. The validity is there. The product is there. Who needs the headache? Like, seriously, at this point, like, do you know how many airdrop that I didn't want to connect my wallet to that I heard about or this or that? Like, hey, $50,000 here, 100. I mean, I just didn't care because I didn't want to take the risk.
You're going to connect your wallet to this one.
Yeah, no, fuck that. Especially, you know, the dream account, you know, because the other stuff is like whatever. So it's just like, it's not worth it. So you get this certain peace of mind, you know, when you're in a Richard Hart product, you know what I mean? So it's just like, and then we got everything. Like you said, you can ignore the rest of crypto. No offense. You got your chain.
2 dreams for the price of 1.
Facts. You got your chain. You got the best assets, you know, which generate the yield, which allows you to stay there and chill. You get to play some PulseX action, you know, little liquidity, whatever. That's it. All the key DeFi stuff is taken care of. Everything else is just like, I can care less for NFT. You know what I mean? It's just like, no.
Speaking of gross things, there's a chart that's going down and to the right here. So let's get this out of the way and talk about it before it stinks up our stream.
Yeah. So this is what DeFi, the vast majority of the ERC20s on Ethereum. Like if you take ERC20 to USD, and then divide it by hex to USD, this is what most of the charts look like. This is what Litecoin to Bitcoin looks like over long periods of time. And then you know, so there's and it's even if it ends up having a miracle, it goes back to where it just basically keeps going down. So, you know, if you look at something like let's look at SNX USD to hex to USD. Dead. Chart's dead. This is now downtrends, resistance, and then if there's ever a relative spike, it just gets sold off and then continues further down. Another one, let's try Uni to USD to hex to USD, dead. Let's do Wi-Fi to USD to hex to USD, dead. So it's the results are already there, and once coins fall, this is what I call the death wedge. So once coins fall into this kind of wedge, the problem is now there's bots that set up there's actually like algorithmic bots that look at these trend lines and then they just sell the fuck out of it when it gets close to those major resistance levels. If they're trying to like squeeze like more hex out of the system into their bag. So, you know, it's a very, you know, once something is stuck in one of these wedges, it's really, I have not seen a single coin ever get out of those. Another good example of this is if you look at Bcash to Bitcoin, this is just what it looks like over time. Like same chart pattern. We literally just saw the same chart pattern on Wi-Fi.
But that's because hex is always appreciating.
Yes, correct.
Look at this. It's like those same shitcoin that you see listing on Coinbase and then death from there, like down and to the right.
Yeah, and it's just death, and that's the problem because like Coinbase, you know, Brian Armstrong, he gets free coins. Of course he does. Like he runs an exchange, he gets free coins, and then that gets dumped into whatever community is buying it at the time. And then the problem is now like that community's poor. None of them have fucking money. They can't build shit. They can't project their ideas into the world. And because they're poor, it just goes further and further down into the wedge, and the community dies. So that's that's the nature of you know, crypto is the superior assets. There's very few of them. That's what the vast majority of the charts in crypto will look like over a period of time compared to those superior assets. And those are the communities that, you know, the communities that have those superior assets, they get rich. Now they can start building stuff. Like they can now start like you know, do you see any community on crypto Twitter streaming as much as the Hex community? No, like no, not even close. So the network effect is already much stronger, and it's you know, once things start to get really sticky, it just basically ends up just if something's in the way, it just gets knocked over, and the momentum. Momentum is a very real attribute both in physics and in financial markets. So it's just the nature of how you know, a lot of this stuff ends up working. So I just view it as physics. Like momentum to me, I just think of it the same way in financial assets. So, you know, once the network effect is there, everybody else is just coping, and at some point they'll probably just buy higher on the price chart when they hit capitulation.
An object in motion stays in motion, baby. That's just what we're here to do. And what's sad, you know, just to drop more wisdom again, is people don't understand. This is how the exchange truly squeeze their users and squeeze that liquidity out, you know, playing that game. Because what's insane about that chart, if you can please go back to that, is it also play into your greed and fear factor. Because it dumps hard, you're in fear, you panic sell, then it pretends that it's about to go up again, right? Though what do? You buy back again because you sold at a loss. You locked in the loss. Then it looks like it's about to go back up. Then you buy back in at a higher price. So you really locked in that loss. You get less coin now. Like Wave3 was saying, who cares about you getting more dollar term when you buy back in, you're getting less coin? That means that have you had the initial number of coin, you would like get more money. So you're being diluted like that little by little, rinse and repeat, down to the right. And every wave you're losing by some time a factor of 2, 3, 10. Something can go down 90%, and from there go 90% again. Down. It's just insane. This is how people see. We all pay the tuition. I remember 2017. I watched my account go from my EOS account went from like 15 grand to like 300,000, and then back to 15 grand. It's just like, but you know, we got lied to. But this is how you learn, right? Finished product only. And not playing this game of shenanigans because and they know that everybody got selective memory. They're on to the next shit coins. Everybody forgets about what happened to the previous chart. Right. Oh, hey, new token listing. Hype. They use that money. They recycle you back in. You come in again with fresh fiat, by the way, because you don't realize you work hard, let's say, and you dollar cost average and you're putting all your paycheck money. But then you're losing money, not counting for all that money that you're putting in every 2 weeks. Like I have people, oh, Karim, I have about the same amount of money that I had before. I'm like, bro, you're losing money because that's what you started with and you've been adding more ever since. So what's up with that? You know what I mean? Plus the opportunity cost instead of just like, you know, stake and chill, because we're teaching people how to get away from the rat race, save yourself from those people. And if we continue to do a good job, which we will, they're going to be forced to come play to our game because we're going to tell them that their game is rigged. And we're going to tell everybody how it's rigged. We're going to play the real game, fair for everybody, real markets, and they will be forced to come play in our game because everybody else will left their game. Just like how we left the banking system and the stock market as a majority of us, you know, crypto people.
Shout out to the 300 people watching live. Hit the like and subscribe button. Do you guys know of another crypto community that's having 80 different YouTubers and geniuses on to a big online Hex conference?
Nope.
Just Hex then. Yeah. So we are so excited about this lineup. It's, you know, it's the dream lineup. There's, you know, I covered it in another stream, but I wanted to make sure that on every show, people who are watching, you know, especially Quant Gang is the most viewed. And so I want everybody to know that this is coming up extremely quickly. We're talking about, you know, this week is probably when PulseX is going to launch. Mm-hmm. And then next week is when the Hex conference is going to be for the online section. And so I messaged all the speakers. There's like 80 speakers. There were 3 people that I couldn't find how to message you. So if you didn't get instructions, then go ahead and let me know. Shout out to Marco who just joined. What's going on with you?
Hey, my boy. I sent him the link. I was like, hey, if you want to come hang out for us for a little bit.
That was going on, man. How's everyone doing?
Good, brother. Good to see you.
Great.
Man. Maddie, Karim, Wave3, pleasure, gentlemen. Phenomenal stream. Drop dimes all over the place. The chat was asking good questions. Alec did phenomenal. Maddie, great job hosting this. Phenomenal, guys. It was. I was like, yes, this is awesome. You know.
No, seriously, cool, you're right. Big shout out to Maddie, guys. Everybody, seriously, Maddie's been at it for the last 48 hours. Like, you guys don't even understand to just coordinate all this. He even got the Sense Foundation here. Dude, that's crazy.
Yeah, this guy.
So there's an asterisk next to the Sens. The schedule is subject to change. So on the asterisk is still we need to confirm. Okay. Hexagons gave 28 million. I think that the Sens Foundation should present something. I've been trying to get a hold of them. So if you donated more than I did to the Sens Foundation, get on the phone with them and let them know that we're asking them to speak at the Hex conference. Now, if they can't get their act together, then we will put somebody else into that amazing spot. But I think that, we deserve that. And that's going to be right after this panel where we have an NFL player, and Blaze and myself, the Hex psychologists and athletes, are going to be in there. The quants are going to be in there. Whales Only will return for the Hex conference.
My boy, let's go.
We're gonna have devs. We're gonna have Richard Hart confirmed. Discourse syndicates on board. Hex musicians. I mean, look at the highlights here. We've got Karim going on after the Compassion Cartel and the Gunter audit, the Hex audit. Karim is gonna freaking bring it home to make sure everybody understands going into this Eric Wall controversial panel that Nerd Girl is going to have. She has those speakers lined up. Coach K has 30K or 60K or something subs on YouTube and streams a lot with BitBoy, who has 1 million, 1.2. And so we've got, we've not only got interesting people in the space who disagree with Hex, in this short period, but we've also, we've got all the Hexicans that you know and love. And this is, there's going to be a lot more participation than last year. And so I'm really excited about it. And this is kind of, this is going to be a main event over 4 days. And then we're going to have the in-person conference in Las Vegas. The planning for that is going really well. And so I can't wait. Because on the US road tour in all 25 cities that they've stopped in, that's what everybody says. Everybody says, I had a great time. I can't believe I got to meet all my favorite people in Hex, and I will see you in Vegas. And that's
bang, bang.
So, you can get your ticket at hexticket.com. Can't guarantee that they won't sell out, but for now they're still available in short supply. So
come through if you can. It's a lot of fun, and you get to meet a lot of great people. I thought even people in his family at this point. So,
hell yeah.
I just want to say real quick, Maddie, this is remarkable work you're doing, right? The first conference, I was watching, I was excited. Not a lot of people knew me. I was like, oh man, what is this? Like, who made this? And it was just phenomenal, man. Like the people speaking, the experience, and what's beautiful about this is that we got to see people speaking about the first year of Hex, right? Their mindset, talk about their bags, the excitement, the unknown. Nobody knew about PulseChain back then. Nobody knew about any of this stuff, right? Now we have a whole ecosystem available to speak upon, and we're bringing new faces, haters, lovers of Hex, the mix, the unknowns, all in this conference again. And you did this, and your team behind it did this, and man, I can't wait, bro. It's gonna be crazy, man.
I know.
It's so cool, bro.
Thanks, man.
And one more thing, like for you to look, I know a lot of people might not like Eric Wall. I think the guy's hilarious, right? For you to even get him on board and for him to do this, I'm so excited. Like, I'm so curious what he's gonna say. Is he going to do what he did before? Is he gonna lean the needle to our side and be like, you know what, maybe these guys are legit? Hey, Richard, sorry, this happened, blah blah. Or will he just do the common Eric Wall thing, right? Like, we don't know, but it's exciting. You have to watch, right?
Whatever he does, we'll be here to check.
I'm gonna grab my popcorn, like, let's go, But
we'll be cool. Remember, we're kind. He come correct. It's cool,
Exactly. Even if he comes out the original Eric Wall, even if it comes out a hater, listen, you give your time to come on the show, share with everybody, and listen, you can speak your piece, right? There's nothing wrong with that. Like, people are gonna love and hate us, right? At least he has the balls to come on the show and to speak and to respect Maddie and the crew for accepting the invitation. So I think it's phenomenal. Great job, bro. Like, it's phenomenal, man.
I like this comment right here. Last comment. Eric will stake Hex live.
Yeah, right. Oh, we gotta try it. Let's do it.
Yeah, he probably definitely got a bag already now.
Come on, listen. He might be the guy with himself, man. Like, you never know, right? Like, Eric Raw is just, he's funny, bro. Right? Like, hate him or love him, and
like you said, it's good that he's coming on board at least to listen. And like we always say, right, repetition, mother of all skills. You know what I mean? There's a lot of people that came, either they were skeptical, or they didn't know, and then they got educated, and then now they're good.
And I would say one more thing. Hey, look, hopefully Sens Foundation show up, but if they don't, maybe we could have 2 days worth of Richard. That'd be cool, you know.
Oh
But
yeah, that'd be cool.
you know, just fill in Richard again. Right? He could speak on behalf of the Sense Foundation or whatever. But it'd be cool. Like regardless.
Oh
Great
yeah, Maddie,
crew,
you can
great
have a
time.
sense talk with somebody that's knowledgeable in the field.
Yeah, I'm really hoping that they're going to come through, because I see this as a mutually beneficial opportunity, right? Because the Sense Foundation should be looking for their $28 million worth of donors to be return customers, to be people who are donating, you know, further on down the road, right? We all want to support medical research, it seems, those of us who already donated. And so I'd be very happy. I think that their budget before us was what, like 3 million a year or something, 5 million maybe a year. So this is a huge difference. And you know, they've got scientists, they've got administrators, they've got people who could come talk. And so I again would reach out to the audience and say, if you're watching this right now and you sacrifice to Sense, go ahead and send them an email, send them a voicemail, and see if we can all get them to join. That's how we got the guest for tonight. I did not originally reach out to Alec Torelli, but the audience did, and I was like, hell yeah.
Yeah, Alec's a cool dude, man. He's so cool.
Yeah,
Alec,
he's cool.
you know?
I'm glad he came on, and even on Twitter, he's a good sport. And you see, that's what we mean by being kind. Like, you come in with an open mind, and if you're wrong, at least you get yourself educated, and then you want to do it right. Because ultimately, we want everybody to win. That's the key. Like, there's not a look, you're losing money, and then no, it's like we just want you to get it why it's better.
Yeah, but excuse me. If you think about it, right? Most communities, right? If he would have done that any other community, they would have bashed him, make memes about him, doing all this other crap, right? Don't get me wrong, some hexagons here and there, and that's fine. Like, it is what it is. It was attacking him here a little bit, but a good 90% of them was like, no, dude, like, don't do that, do this. You know, if this happens, you will get wrecked. Like, trust us, we've been through it, we've done it. Like, don't make that mistake. We're trying to save you. And he responded. He's like, you know, I appreciate that. And just like you said, like he said earlier, you know, he felt that energy. He felt the community saying, like, damn, this community, they really care about you. Like, people call them scammers, but they're doing their best to prevent scams for other communities that's total strangers. We don't need to do that, but we do that. Like, we're hexagons, right? There's something that we do as a community, and it's beautiful. Like, this is what we are, and he saw it firsthand, and that's beautiful, man.
It makes me the most proud. This is why when I clipped that thing from the interview, when Richard, you know, beautifully answered, when Kinetics asked him in the interview, what makes you the most proud? Like, he said the community, dude, like for like a second, like I had this like energy that is like a tear almost came out. It's just like, you know, he spoke to my soul. I'm like, dude, you have no idea, man. We appreciate you. Just knowing to be acknowledged like that. It feels good, you know, because you're out there, you know, you're fighting, like you said, the scam, people talking shit, this and that. But it's just like, what's sad sometimes is people, how to say this, they misconstrue like your passion for like, oh, you're trying to hate on them or argue with them, when it's just like, no, you don't understand. Like, I'm genuinely trying to help you. I need you to understand this. Instead of like, you know, most people, when they really hate on you or whatever, they'll just give up on you. They'll be like, yeah, the person doesn't get it. They'll just move on. But we actually stick in there and we're trying to because like, no, dude, like, let me show you. Let me show you the math. Like, and you need
not only that, it's like we're trying to press a fast forward button for them. Like, trust me, just skip through all this. Like, don't go through it. We went through it. This is quicksand. Like, just hop over, you know? And, you know, sometimes they're like, oh, no, you just want to you want my money. You want to throw it in your company, you know, your community. It's like, no, it's not about that. But we're trying to save you, you know, but you can't save everyone, you know?
Yeah.
Well, we're excited for also to have Staker app in the mix, to have Steph and Firebun. We're excited for the devs. We're excited for the quants. And so Wave3TV here, I think is going to be streaming with Gerardo, Whales Only, hopefully Silver the Antidote. So that's really exciting.
And also, big shout out to the new YouTuber too. I'm looking forward to see the new faces. I think that's great. You know, the next generation coming in and, you know, preaching the gospel. It feels good, man. At first, you feel like you're one man army, and then now it's like, you know, all those new people like, yo, they're quoting us, and then also they're out there, you know, spitting that truth. So that's just great to watch. So
and what's beautiful watching, is that,
shout out to you. Keep up the good work.
Yeah, what's beautiful is all these folks, they're doing it with a higher quality, right? With better vocabulary, better streaming equipment, you know, better promoting. Like, they're taking it to the next level. These guys just came in. Imagine what they're going to do a year from now, right? It's beautiful, man. It's exciting. You know, conference 3 is going to be amazing. You know, this is conference 2. Imagine conference 3 and then 4 and then 5. Like, we're gonna have a stadium soon, and Rich is gonna be in the middle of the stadium. Like, that's gonna be crazy. You know.
Yeah. And if you
so I know this is probably too small for everybody to see, but you can get an idea of how many speakers there are when, you know, there's 9 per screen, and then there's going to be 4 panels like that just on the first day. There's going to be 2 panels like that the next day, 2 the third day, and 2 or 3 the fourth day. So that's
epic.
It's just so awesome to have so much participation from the entire community. It's really awesome.
Yeah, right. People are gonna say, "I'm gonna say, trying to butt this."
That's right.
This is like, oh, it's amazing. Amen, amen. And again, if you're one of them watching, shout out to you and your streamers. You know, we might haven't met face to face, but you know, we appreciate you. I want you to know that. So keep up the good work. Don't hesitate to reach out if you need help, or if you have any questions, you know, regarding your stream, stuff like that. So whoever's gonna help.
And there's a speaker telegram that is for speakers only. And so that, again, has been sent out to all the speakers except for the 3 that I didn't have contact info for, that I'm going to have to go back and figure out. So for everybody who has that info, that's where you can ask. You've been sent instructions. Basically, we're doing a green screen, a test day, the Sunday before the conference, and that'll be January 2nd. And then we will have everybody check in at least half an hour early to their talk and get their lighting and their camera and their microphone working ahead of time. So that's critical. And so we'll be running that test room the whole day so that people can get the link to join the real live stream from the person who's running the test room. And so that'll ensure that we have the highest quality, like we did last year, of content. And people need green screens, so they've been asked to order green screens and given links for all that. And so all the instructions to the speakers are in the message that I sent. If you have Telegram, then I sent it to you on there. And if you don't, then I sent on Twitter.
Well done, Maddie. Well done.
One thing I'm curious about, right, is, you know, the folks who spoke in the last conference and they're back again, that feeling they're gonna experience, right? Like that emotion. I wonder, do they look at the, like, before they jump on this one, like maybe a couple of days before, will they look at the previous ones to see how they spoke, you know, what they talked about, the emotion, their mindset during that time, and then doing it again? They gotta feel empowering, right? They gotta feel like, wow, I did it last time. I'm back here again with a different experience, another journey, another year passed by, and I get to share it again with the new people coming over. I think that's going to be beautiful, man. I can't wait for this. I think it's
absolutely. And you know, the price during the last Hex conference was, you know, 1.2 cents, 1.5 cents. And then after that, it dropped all the way down to 1/3 of a penny. And so people are sitting on, you know, 25x to 100x gains since the last conference. And, you know, this is the conference is, you know, it's an event where we want to grow the community and we want to celebrate the people who are here. And so we're hoping that it's going to be appealing to people who are brand new and to people who are old. I was also thinking of streaming the past conference, like restreaming it on this channel leading up to the Hex conference.
Do it.
Like you said, so people can get a taste for what it's like.
Yeah, we could definitely, you know. And I think, to Marco, to answer you, because I was thinking about that too. And for me, it's just 2 great emotion comes, right? It's just gratitude, number 1, and pride in a way where it's like staying committed, not changing the message. We've been saying some of the same core values since the beginning, because again, repetition, mother of all skill, to the point where some of us and some people in the community, shout out to you, some of you guys in the chat that became multimillionaires, you know, they literally quote those sayings now, because that's what got us here. You know, fighting the FUD, the nonsense, the rock pool, the shiny objects over there. You know what I mean? That repetition really kept us grounded. And even when the X's start to come in and the mad gains, it's like we almost act like we belong here, because we thought about it so much. We've done the math so many times. We refresh ourselves so many times. It's like you prepare for an exam so much that exam comes, it's like man, that's just practice. You know what I mean? You're like the practice test was harder. You know what I mean? You finish the exam and you walk out 20 minutes early. You're like, yeah, right. That's the feeling I'm feeling.
It's true, man. Like, it is exciting, you know. My wife remembered that the last time I told her, hey, babe, this time the conference is gonna be around again. And last time she didn't get to watch it. Then she watched it like throughout the year. Like, I mean, throughout the year, a couple of videos here and there. She's learning more about hacks and everything in general. But she's even excited about this. She's like, I can't wait to, to hear the people that we met in Vegas last time speak on this. And, now she's in love with Richard Hart, right? At first she was like, oh my God, that guy's so full of himself. But then when she understood the man behind the scenes and understood like all the interviews and all the backlash she got and how intelligent it was, she's like, this guy, is there anything he doesn't know? I'm like, nah, babe, I don't think so. Like, this guy knows everything, And, she was in love with that, right? So she's going to go. I know a couple of people I am onboarded. Tons of them are going to see this one this time because a lot of them wasn't around the first time around and they're excited, right? It's going to be beautiful, man. And I can't wait to hear everyone in this stream right now talking and, just everybody in general. It's going to be a great one. It's going to be one to remember. I'll tell you that much. And I think what's beautiful about it is going to kick off 2022 so hard. And we're going to have Pulse probably come out a month, 2 months after that, and PulseX release. And it's going to be a crazy year, bro. Like, I don't think we're going to be able to catch up to all this excitement, all this stuff. You're going to have Karim adrenaline like 1,000%, like all over the place. Like, how you stop that, right? Like,
high on life, bro.
It's crazy, man. It is beautiful.
We're going to be in the middle of sacrifice too.
And then when we're about to calm down, like, we're going to go, our feelings are going to end up doing like a correction. We're going to drop 20-30% in emotion. And then March comes in, we're in Vegas again, and it starts all over again, right? Like, what the fuck, right? Like, come on, man. It's going to be crazy, bro. I can't wait. And hey, if anybody didn't buy the tickets yet, guys, get on board. It's going to be beautiful. Las Vegas event was phenomenal. Come through. I'm going to be there. Everybody here is going to be there. So don't miss it, man. It's easy to see it and hear about it, but to experience it and to see all these individuals in person, you get to have lunch, dinner with them. You get to be drunk with them, not drunk, laughing, crying, hugging each other.
Dancing.
It's dancing. Oh my God, this guy nonstop dancing. We have to pull him off the freaking club, bro. Right? It's like, it's a beautiful feeling. And it's something I guarantee you will not forget, because even to this day, I could literally close my eyes and just see all of us on the in the club and the VIP talking. I could see the faces. I could hear the voices. It was so cool, so fun that it made it worth it, So I highly recommend, if you can make it. If you can't, it's okay. We're probably gonna have streams and all that stuff. You're always gonna be part of us, but go and don't think twice. 100%.
Well said. Wave3, what do you think? I think yours is gonna be your first, right? Or was if you spoke at the last one?
No, I've been to the few of the Hex events. So yeah, I was at the first Vegas trip was really, really good. I enjoyed that one.
Oh yeah, no, definitely.
No, I think he's talking about the conference thing.
Of course you were there, Vegas.
Okay, of course you was, bro. You got smacked around by police women.
Oh yeah.
Nobody would be in the club too, remember?
Yeah.
That was the best.
Sorry, mine's jumping around between the events, but no, I remember the first. I believe Maddie, I remember organized the first tax conference online. So there was a panel with, I remember there was Firebun, I believe Maddie, myself. There's a few people during that first Hex conference. So it was good. So it's cool seeing like that snapshot and progression from year one, as you guys are mentioning, from year one to year 2 to year 3. So this is already, even though there was a lot of negative stigma, specifically around like Eric Wall previously, it's still really, really good having that kind of exposure on these kind of streams, because it just gets more outreach. Sometimes people, because when people are in a market, especially like crypto, sometimes it takes time to kind of break past things like skepticism or just doubts, because what they do is they generally look at what's happened historically. You go through these really big market cycles, and then like you have all these coins that get wiped out, like they don't roll over into the next cycle. So that's where a lot of the skepticism comes from, and that's why people have doubts initially. But it's because a lot, like as Richard Hart goes in detail on his streams, those coins that get wiped out, those are either a combination of unmet promises, which then kind of which is kind of a gray area because it goes into the whole securities issue, and then just coins that just don't have any original or good game theory that they have as like a unique or original idea in the market. So these type of factors just make it makes people very hesitant. But over time, people look at price performance over time, and then generally time is the biggest. Is really just what slowly over time they do change over time. It just sometimes takes a little bit longer, but ultimately those that understand things sooner are ultimately they get the monetary benefit for understanding that sooner rather than later. So there are big trade-offs, like it's like, okay, you can be skeptical for a while, but then you're buying in at a higher price. So that's just basically the trade-off there. So at the end of the day, like it's just good exposure. I like having that, like seeing that potential outreach into other pockets on crypto Twitter that will sort of inevitably be buying Hex at some point in the future.
Absolutely. I think this is also why, quick transition, why Richard says true virality comes after 2 years, to the point that you just made, because some of the most skeptical realize that it's not going anywhere. It's been 2 years, 100% uptime, flawless, blah, blah, blah. I can go on and on and on while everything else fails. So that really is another irrefutable truth that you just can't deny, because it's just in your face. And not only we're still here, but we're growing faster and faster and faster. So when people see that other level of comfort is going to be able to come in, and then we as a community just make them realize, listen, you're not too late. We're still very early, very pre-viral, and this is a tool that can just help just free a lot of people. At the end of the day, that's all we want, financial freedom.
That's right. For those of you who are wondering, there is the location the final location has not been announced, so there's no host hotel. But that should come out in the next week. So that'll be helpful for everybody who's planning their trip. And, currently we're finalizing all of that and, putting together, basically making sure that we're getting the best deal possible. So.
Amen. Always for the Hexagon. So I'm excited. Maddie, you should definitely play that previous conference, I think, definitely, because especially for the new people, it will give them, again, that perspective. So when they see the second one, just how far we have come and some of the stigma to show, like, that's what people used to say and then what they say today. And also you'll be able to highlight those who have been consistent, saying the same thing they've said since day one. So it adds that validity. It shows people perspective, what some people used to say and, what they have said now. Ideally, those who came correct and apologize, and that's great. But that will be great. Yep, exactly. It's like the X 2020 rewind video. I think it's going to have that same effect for people to understand sometimes also where some of the OGs are coming from, some of the, frustration that, some of our community members have, experienced. At least they'll get to see where that comes from if they haven't watched it. So
I think another thing
and that's one of the things that I love even about watching old Quanking episodes. I remember the old one with Wave3 and Wales, and, the first time Wave3 came on with all of us, and when I re-listen to that, I enjoy it because it is so consistent, because we're all having the same attitudes about Hex when Hex was a penny, when it was I think that's how much it was in the
crazy less than that even, but yeah, it
was a seventh of a penny. That's right.
Seventh of a penny. It's crazy. People talk, oh, we'll never be a penny.
2023. 7 cents. Yeah.
And I was like, and then
7 cents of it.
Remember the stupid arguments about that? He's been like, a penny's impossible. Karim, you moonboning, bro. There's no way. Blah blah. I remember that, bro. It was hilarious.
And by the time of Quanking starting on February 2nd, the price had that New Year's Eve pump all the way up to 2 cents. So we knew that was possible, but it came back down.
Yeah. So. Daddy, it was an insane pump. We pump over 100% in a day. That was crazy.
Do you think that'll happen? I mean, now is the time of year to be asking ourselves, do you think that that's going to happen again?
Listen, all I'm going to say is this, right? My educated speculation, quick maths. some big some big wallets, let's just put it this way. We don't know why. Some big wallet likes to end the year just to make it look good on the balance sheet. You understand? So when we go to year-over-year return, I'm just gonna leave it at that. There's a certain PR that comes with that.
That's what we think happened. In it, of course. All kidding aside, that's the idea.
Manny, pull up the chart. I need people to understand this because he actually pumped 60-some% first, and then he pumped 100% on that last day because he came from a build-up. Because we came from the bottom. Oh my God, it was so beautiful. Big payday. We're laughing. We got the double. The 401k money just came right on time, Marco. It was crazy. Maddie, we're talking about the at the bottom of that double. We were talking about the a little bit before that, but the Uniswap. People still arguing. Oh, I should have kept my Uni. I'm like, what the? Yes. What are you guys talking about? The money printer. And then after that, the conversation ended. Like we calculated the value of the T-share versus the U. It was just ended. Game over. Yeah, pull up
what's another thing I think is important why Maddie should rerun the previous conference. It's going to show that no matter how much Hexagons has made over the past year, their language and their emotion hasn't changed, right? They might have looked more fancy now, wearing watches and LV and all that stuff, but at the end of the day, what their language and what they spoke a year ago and now never changed, right? Like look at that, like bling bling, man. Like come on, bro. Like it's amazing. That's dope. That's dope.
Right? Like,
I mean, this was like $80, so it's like, yeah.
Let me see that receipt
with myself.
You dumping the price.
It looks nice. Hey, Marco got some flex.
But it's great, right? And it goes to show people like, look, these guys probably made millions and millions and millions of dollars, but they're back year 2 doing the conference. They don't have to. They're back to speak the same language, looking more prettier. And they're doing the same thing. And I think it's beautiful, man. And the folks who are going to show up, it just brings them back down from cloud 9 down. Like, you know what? Let me be humble. This is where I came from. We're back to do it again. It's beautiful, man. I can't wait. Like,
I love it.
So, Maddie, do it. I really recommend it.
It's done. Yeah, I'll set it up for sure.
Get it.
And that's the beauty of the community when you think about it, because the community also helps you stay grounded because it helps you. And then it's warm and fuzzy and you're good. And then you can be stake and be relaxed. And this is why I knew how important it was to be on the tour. That's why I didn't go to Vegas. I'm sorry, I didn't go to New York, London. Because I was like, what the?
I just realized what that was.
Yeah, I know, right? So that's why I didn't go to London, because I wanted to just make sure that we get to onboard as many people as we can. Hey, there you go. There you go. Yo, where's the duck? Pull up the duck. That was.
I was worried. I was worried when I saw your semi-viral Hex video. I was worried that Richard was not going to like it, or that that it wouldn't all be in good fun, but it was, and it's hilarious.
No, to be honest, of course we never share private information, private messages and all that, but he's been great, man. He's been big supporter of it. He's been laughing about it, and it's all fun games. He knows I'm doing it just to spread his word, spread his message more. It's viral. But listen, I love the guy, right?
Because of that, he was having so much fun. That was the best tweet that day when you did that. That was the best.
Oh,
did
man.
you remind me when you did the shower video? That was also epic.
Oh, right, that would be funny.
I was like, yo, that's commitment right there. Action talk louder than words. I tell people about this cold shower for a while. They think I'm joking. Marco's out there getting the receipt.
Yeah, bro, I take notes, bro. I take actions, man. I don't know. Maddie saw that one. Yeah, when I took a cold shower live, or not live, but stream. That's hilarious,
dude. Live. He's like, oh my goodness,
perfect.
Yeah, no,
and it's perfect when you feel a little bit heated, like tweet to Twitter. You go in there and you just get a cold shower. It just calms you down.
Anything to promote the community, anybody on stream, or I'm always gonna promote folks. Right? It doesn't matter, right? Like I don't care for credit. I don't care if people even tag me and things like. If it's gonna help another individual reach another 1,000 people, I'm doing it. Like no question asked, right? So,
well, Marco, thank you for that, and
yeah, man,
you're great at it. So keep up the good work.
Yeah, definitely. Will is asking,
he's been having a blast, man. I got a lot of videos lined up to make fun of Richard, man.
I remember. I'm not sure how long ago it was. 5 months ago, something like that. You made a video and you were like, I'm going to start doing more. I'm going to start making videos. And here we are, it's great.
Remember what I told you, right? Turn on the camera.
Yeah, he's like, I'm like, bro, I'm so nervous, man. I don't know, man. He's like, turn it on, get on, just do it. I'm like, all right, fine, whatever, dude. But
see,
yeah,
because
thank you,
once
man.
you do right repetition, and then you get more calm and you get more used to it. Because this is also show how cool our community is, warm and fuzzy. You know, we just help one another, and then after a while, boom, you'll be doing that for the next wave of
Exactly.
future streamers. So.
Speaking of waves, Wave3, thank you so much for coming on the stream. You're the best.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, thanks for having me on, guys. Thanks for the invite, Maddie. And then good to see. Yeah, good to see you. Good to see you, Karim and Marco. So really, I think this is the first time I've streamed alongside Marco. So that's cool because I recognize I know your Twitter handle. So
thank you, brother.
the avatar. Yeah, it's very so cool.
You.
Yeah. You guys have a good night. I did buy it's not like a Rolex or anything like that, but I did buy a new surfboard today.
Hey,
yeah, so I'm gonna be using it. I'm gonna be using it going into the new year. So looking forward to that.
How's the weather where you are?
Thanks. Yeah, it's rained out, so there needs to be a couple days to just for the water to filter out all the runoff because it builds up over the year. So after a couple days, I'll be able to get back in the water probably sometime during the first week of January. So looking forward to that.
Damn, that's safe, badass.
We need you around. You know, just be safe.
It's funny when I saw Wave3, I thought that was like a chart thing related. Now I just realized you're a surfer. That's badass, bro.
That's why the name sort of it found because it relates like waves and oceans are actually they're just repeating. It actually mirrors pretty well over to the big moves you see. Like what happened on the hex chart was the tsunami. Like that was a ginormous move compared to back when we were first just considering the idea at the time. So yeah, I think there will be more fun to come with that, especially with the charts. So thanks again for having me, Maddie, and I'll see you guys in the very near future. And Karim, I'll see you in Miami.
Yes, sir. Bang bang. Oh, last question. Somebody asked: is this a longboard or just a regular softboard?
It's not a longboard. It's a fishtail. So it's a shorter board. It's not quite a short board, but fishtail 5.6. It's nice. It's a thicker board, so that's my go-to. So I'll take a picture of it sometime. It's a nice board.
Bang bang. Yeah, show that hex flex. I need to see it.
Yeah.
With a happy smile on it.
Yeah.
Check this out.
Cool. Yeah. Thanks, guys. Thanks again, and
right.
I'll see you guys.
Yes, sir.
Take care.
Have a great night.
Bang bang. Oh, Maddie. Whew. Another great stream, Marco. Thanks for being here. Everybody, thanks for being here as always. I think Nardo just arrived. They're about to be loud here.
Nardo. I love Nardo. Tell Nardo so what's up, man. I love that guy.
Tell Nardo to hop on screen here. And then Karim and I are probably going to stream whenever the PulseX sacrifice happens. Whenever that goes live, I'm hoping you'll be able to hop on with me and we can guide people through the chaos.
Yes, no, definitely. That's going to be important because same thing also for, sticker app and everything like that. Everybody watching, it's very simple, guys. It's just like sending a transaction. There's nothing fancy. All we need is just the PulseSec address, the ETH address. Once you have that
on multiple channels by Richard Hart.
Exactly. Once you have that, you literally just send. That's it. There's no fancy whatever. You're good. You own your own keys. You're safe. When the fork happens, you will get your copy. We're going to duplicate everything. You're going to get a new smart wallet on the PulseChain. We're going to pay for all of that. It's just going to be there. So don't worry. Onboard people. And little caveat, I wanted to wait it, but will my envelope just making it just a free transaction? So again, to send. All that was going to make it free. So there's not going to be
no way.
Yes way.
Whoa.
Send is official. It's free on the app.
Yeah, you guys are incredible, man.
For that. So again, remove all the friction, get your sack, be ready, and that's the final message.
Yo, get Nardo real quick, man. We need to see him.
Hold on.
Yeah. Proof of Nardo,
Mickey,
please.
Where's Nardo?
Proof of Nardo.
Hold on. I'm asking you because they all just walked in. So
Nardo's
Tell him only 230 people are waiting for proof of Nardo.
He is so cool, man. I met Nardo multiple times. I love this guy. So real.
Absolutely. Likewise. He hooked me up with these awesome hex jeans that I always wear.
That's dope, man.
Karim is on mute.
Bang, bang, Maddie. I got another guest for you real quick before we get to Nardo.
What's up, Maddie? What's up, bro? How we doing?
Hey,
man?
what's going on?
Franklin said hex, baby.
What's up, Mark?
Franklin, what's up, brother? What's going on, man?
It's been a minute. Good to
Chilling,
see
man.
you.
Touchdown in Miami.
You're looking
had to
fantastic,
do it,
brother.
man.
You're looking fantastic.
Looking
man.
better, bro.
Yeah, and then look, we got all the PulseChain colors
like the
already
hat.
all set up.
Ooh, that's pretty.
It's gonna be nice. And then I don't know if I saw you the boat before. Let me just go outside real quick. The yachty and find Nardo. We got a
You
little
just gotta
highlight.
chill in there?
Yeah, hold on. Where's Nardo? Hold on. Well, this view you guys already saw, which is the pool and the yacht back there.
So that's where you lost your keys to your crypto, right? That day?
Yeah, boating accident.
Everybody.
Yeah, right.
It's my
Funny. Hold on.
IRS
Now I gotta
form.
find it. This house is so big. Now I gotta find people. It's funny.
Just kidding.
Yeah, it's beautiful, man. That's a nice house. That's big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ready,
Well, you know,
ready
we're
modern.
gonna be throwing a party here, so we gotta make sure we can host people cool. So, Nardo.
I remember we were in Columbus and they were trying to decide how nice of a place to get for Miami.
Oh, yeah? That's dope.
Looks like they decided to.
Bro, it's a maze there, bro.
Oh,
it's like,
I
it's
think
like
I
Squid
found
Games,
him.
bro.
Where is he? Bang, bang. Hold on. I found him. 1 second.
And it froze.
So famous, man.
He's like, Nardo, we're not gonna be able to see him. He's gonna walk away.
Yeah, I heard like a second.
See you. Come here. Oh, there. Yeah, I have to go back this way. Yeah, because I ran away from the Wi-Fi. Hold on. I find Nardo. It's official. Right here.
How we doing? Blues Eyes is in the house.
Yo, Nardo, what's up, bro?
For the win. Let's go back towards inside because the Wi-Fi. That's why.
What's up, Maddie? What's up, Marco?
Brother.
1 second.
Good to
Getting
see
back
you, man.
inside the house real quick.
Everybody
Better
on
Wi-Fi?
CoinCang says, "Hey, what's up, Nardo? Love you."
Yes.
Yeah, man, the weather's beautiful down here. You guys really should reconsider 70, 80 degrees.
Wow.
And that's coming from a northerner.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna
Hey,
leave
it's
it at that.
Mars. What's up?
Oh, what up,
Yeah.
Mars? That's true.
What's up? Hey, guys.
Hi, buddy.
How you doing?
What's going on?
Hey, good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you also. I think
Franklin
Franklin is about to leave. I gotta head out.
Perfect.
I'll catch y'all later.
Yeah, he's going to his
man.
Airbnb.
man.
Kill that
Enjoy,
stream for me.
Bang, bang.
Sounds good.
So, yeah.
We'll see you guys
Make
next
sure
time.
you come. Yes. Mwah. Thanks for being here as always. For the win.
For the win, team win,
Nardo
baby.
for the win.
Let's
Oh,
all get there.
it's trademark.
It's always for the win.
Well, on that
All
note, I guess I'm going to play the outro here. And thanks to everybody for tuning in. Hit the like and subscribe button. Get
Buy
ready
your
for
tickets.
the replay of the first Hex conference and for the live stream of the second Hex conference here, hexpo.online. Get your tickets, hex.com for the in-person conference. And thanks to you two for being on.
Bang, bang. Marco, thanks for being here.
No, thank
Appreciate
you guys for the invitation. Phenomenal.
All right.
And, stake wisely, my friends, and peace out.
And this is from Maddie ALLin of Hex Therapy Live. After Richard's done with stream, I hope it's still hours away. The new Hex Quant and I will go live to show off a new chart for Hex USD price appreciation with staked interest factored in.